Hearing. But I was.
Were we able to switch the host, Jill? Yes?
After I fell off.
As far as I thought.
Yeah.
Connect the audio.
Ready? What's that?
Sorry, Kevin.
7 minutes late. We good?
I know, we're very close. We're trying to get up on you like right now.
It's a love-hate.
We're cutting the last 7 minutes of the meeting off to make up for the first 7.
Oh, she has to record it.
We'll skip Tyson's report.
Well,
You good with that?
I chase some kids down.
Like, no.
Girl and a guy long hair. What's going on? My dad, the car, the teacher, don't license, they've been in my car. I would
Are we good?
Well, there you go. I have this that my phone. Don't have voice recognition.
Very cool.
They were just asking about emergency phone numbers, something like that.
Ran into the farm golf course.
Huh?
Yeah. As soon as I did all of them.
When are you gonna be back?
Go back out, they ran out of the door.
How short is it?
But I went down 1.700 to see me cut through the.
Is your mom still
I
there?
had a tree.
My dad died 20 years. 20 years.
Okay. Yeah, we're good. Let's just start.
We're good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's call to order the City Council meeting of Pleasant View, Utah, this 25th day of May, 2021. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance and an opening prayer reading or expression of thought by Councilwoman Uri.
Will you all arise for the Pledge of Allegiance? You after me?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to gather together and as members of this great community of Pleasant View and as the City Council and Administration. We're grateful for the opportunity that we have to serve on behalf of the residents who live here. We're grateful that we have such a beautiful area to live in, to raise our children and to conduct business and to grow up and grow old. We're grateful for our law enforcement, and we ask you to protect them as they serve our community to make it a better place. We ask you to bless our armed forces and watch over and protect them as well. We ask you to bless all those who are serving on our behalf in this city, our public works and our staff, that they may be blessed as well as they serve the residents of the city. We're grateful for all the blessings that we enjoy, and we ask that thy Spirit will be with us tonight as we make decisions on behalf of the residents, that we may be wise and prudent and represent our constituents as well. And we say these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Sarah. Before we really start, we have some people that logged in to through Zoom that I don't know. So if you could take just a minute, each of you, and introduce yourselves. I'm not sure if you're on the agenda or not. I just want to be sure that we know who you are. Don't jump right in, but hurry fast.
Yeah, this is Doug Hamblin. I'm the developer for Rocky Meadows.
Okay, Doug, thank you.
This is Andres Coleman. I'm with UTA. I'm the general manager of bus service in Weber and Davis counties.
All right, thank you.
Dana Schuler with Jones and Associates.
We know you. Anybody else?
There's like a phone number without a name to it.
This is Jason Ball from Ridgeline Design Architects, representing OSI Winery, Simon Go.
Okay, thank you.
Simon Go's not on.
What?
They're not on the agenda, so I don't know if he knows that.
Did you know that you're not on the agenda for tonight?
There's the
No,
connection.
The road, we're going to talk about the road.
What do we have? We have.
I just received a message on Monday that there was a meeting from 6 to 6:30 to discuss our project. So I thought it was in relationship to the winery site.
Yeah, this is just Rural and White.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Rural and White Boulevard,
Thursday.
but I don't think the winery's on the agenda. If you want to stay, you're certainly welcome, but might.
Okay. Okay, like I said, I just got a thing about the meeting, so that's why I was here. So I'll just probably jump off then.
All right, thank you. Not thank you for jumping off, but thank you for coming. Is there anyone else that we haven't introduced? Are you on mute? I can see your lips moving, but I can't hear you. There you go.
Hi, Beth Holbrook with Utah Transit Authority.
She's on mute.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's, okay.
All right, I think that's everyone. Okay, we want to be sure that there's no conflict of interest, so everybody's had a chance to look at the agenda and the items on the agenda, and are there any conflicts of interest to be declared? Seeing none, we'll move on to questions and comments from the public for the mayor or city council. Are there any questions or concerns for the city council? None? Okay. All right, we'll go to the consent items then. We'll need to approve the minutes for May 11th, 2021 and May 13th, 2021, and also the bills for Pleasant View City.
Do you need to do those all separately? No. Okay.
No, we just do as consent items.
Okay, I move that we approve the consent items for tonight.
I'll second the motion. Okay, motion by Arrington, second by Marriott. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes, thank you.
Wasn't Dave, weren't you here for the understanding?
I was not here the last meeting.
Very, very end.
Came as we left.
Yeah.
You were absent.
I was absent. All right, first item on the agenda is a presentation from UTA on their 5-year service plan. Presenter is Beth Holbrook, UTA trustee.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and thank you, Council, for letting us come this evening to have a discussion and an update on our 5-year service plan. Really quickly, I know that there were some technical issues. I do have a slide presentation, but I can navigate however you'd like. I can share my screen or you can display it. You just let me know what works best.
So Beth, we can enable to allow you to share your screen. We were just having issues streaming on YouTube for our residents. So that was, the Zoom itself is not having technical problems.
Oh, perfect. Okay, I'll go ahead and share my screen then. Just one moment. Are you able to see my screen now?
Yes, thanks, Beth.
Thank you. Well, I first wanted to officially announce my colleagues, my other UTA employees that are here today. In the audience, we have Shul Bishop. He is the Director of Government Affairs. And Andreas Coleman, again, he already announced himself, but he is also our General Manager for bus service for Weber and Davis counties. And with that, this evening, I'll go ahead and start, and I will do the fast version. I know you guys had a little bit of delay, so I'm happy to answer questions at any time. So just please let me know. I know I don't need to tell you this one in much detail, other than the fact that, as we all know, the entire region along the Wasatch Front is growing rapidly. And the graph on the right basically is articulating some of the data that we're seeing from the Kim Gardner Institute in terms of population growth. We anticipate being up to 5 million in the near future, and quickly going from there. And those growth challenges and opportunities bring air quality and traffic congestion. And as we always do, we want to take a look at how that's going to impact our economic growth and our access to opportunity. We have been working hard in the last couple of years to really strengthen some of our local government relationships, and making sure that we're listening to what your communities are doing in terms of growth and addressing those things accordingly. We encourage and ask that if there's anything we can do when you're discussing your general plans or doing street improvements, we would be happy to see where we can fit in terms of what our service is doing and what we anticipate doing in the next 5 years. You can read the rest of this, but basically what UTA is trying to do is we're trying to implement a 5-year plan of bus service growth. And this is, again, just directly towards the bus service side of everything. We want to make sure that we're dovetailing this with the growth that you guys are experiencing in your region. We basically, as you are aware, we work very closely with our Metropolitan Planning Organization, or MPO, which is the Wasatch Front Regional Council. And we do all of our growth expectations along with WFRT, which decides the RTP, or the regional transportation plans. We look at this both as a region as well as a locality in terms of how we're making our system connect better. We are going to start doing this year, and next year we will start to take a look at specific things that we can implement. We want to implement basically system-wide planning, core route network investment. In other words, a core route is defined by a bus service that is all day, expanded hours, more frequent. We also want to do new technologies. And again, any new projects that are related to this, we want to make sure we're integrating our bus service to those new projects. The newest project will be the Ogden Bus Rapid Transit project, which is currently under construction. And that goes from the Ogden Frontrunner Station through Weber State University and into Ogden City itself. And that will be implemented in approximately the end of 2023. Here are the bus routes that are servicing Pleasant View. And you can see that the blue are basically, they run every 30 or more minutes, and then the red are the peak hour services, peak being morning and afternoon, to dovetail on commute times. Also looking at how the pandemic has impacted what bus service looks like. We found that there were a lot of riders during the midday times when we don't typically define that as a peak hour timeline. And so we are adjusting those routes as needed based on the demand. As you can see, the short term, here's what we want to make sure we're doing in connectivity pieces. Mobility solutions can include our microtransit pilot, which is basically an on-demand service, very similar to Uber, but it is connected to UTA, and so you can access it through your UTA pass, or you can just pay a standard $2.50 if you want to get on. It's just like getting on a bus. And that connectivity gets you to bus stops or anywhere within that region. And then long term, we want to really enhance some of the service that we're doing between North Ogden, Pleasant View, and Colorado. Given that Northrop Grumman and Hill Air Force Base are exploding in growth and opportunity, we want to continue to enhance that connectivity piece. We're looking at Brigham City and express bus service. As you can see, our long-range plans also include corridor preservation and Box Elder Express bus. And I don't need to tell you, but corridor preservation is one of the critical components. A couple months ago, Weber County just approved an expansion of corridor preservation and awarded Ogden City with $3 million in order to preserve that piece of front runner access to BDA, and with the intention of moving it, of course, forward more to Pleasant View. We do make sure that we are servicing this at this phase, as you can see, doing all of those needs and hitting the Pleasant View station. We anticipate doing in the phase 3 model, which is 2041. We are also looking at increased connectivity between bus and then other first and last mile solutions, including, of course, access to front runner. That includes bike, scooters. I don't know why I was going to say soccer, and access to park and ride lots. And again, that transit piece as well. Our long range plans are really going to be defined by the elected officials who serve on WFRC. And those are the really critical components to making sure that we have those areas articulated and to have support. Support is critical for federal funding, grants, access to the TTIF, which is a relatively new fund that UDOT manages for transit. We received state legislative appropriations this past session, as well as if we are looking at anything other for funding or for transit investments. Long range, again, we want to make sure that we are including all of this connectivity to our local communities as well, because we know that everyone's experiencing growth and we're all trying to manage the infrastructure investments that we're making to the best of our ability. Just pictures of types of transit-oriented developments that we anticipate would happen. Every community is rather unique, so I would never say that it's a one-size-fits-all model. And it's just kind of how would you envision your community and what can UTA do to help increase that connectivity piece. With that, this is our contact information. You are welcome to reach out to any one of us. Would entertain any questions you might have.
Okay, is that all? Beth?
That is all at this time.
Okay, thank you so much.
Mayor, I have a comment.
All right.
Is that okay?
Sure.
May I call you Beth or Miss Holbrook? I don't know.
Please call me Beth, and thank you. That was very nice of you to ask.
Steve Gibson here. I've been on the city council for 8 years, and I am very disappointed in UTA. And several years ago, we passed a tax that gave UTA quite a bit of money, and Pleasant View residents are paying that. And I just don't feel we have any good access to UTA in Pleasant View. And I've heard the same spiel presented by different people, a lot of promises, a lot of things, a lot of good ideas. But personally, I just don't think that we get very much benefit from UTA here. To go to Weber State, to go to Ogden, to go to any of these places is very, very difficult, and it doesn't save any time or anything for the average person to utilize anything here in the North Park. I know you're putting lines in down Salt Lake and doing a great job down there, but I'm very, very disappointed that my money is going to UTA. So I just want to tell you that. And that's my opinion. I'd like to take that back because it's I know that you need a lot of money for to reconnect the Pleasant View Station to the tracks, or excuse me, Front Runner. But 2041 is ridiculous. A lot of money, millions of dollars being put in, and a lot of infrastructure everywhere else, but in the north. And I don't know exactly, but we passed a budget. I can't remember how much it was, a tax, a levy, that was a huge portion for Weber County.
It's quite a bit.
And we were supposed to get some things for that, and promises were made, and nothing was kept. For Pleasant View, anyway. I am speaking for Pleasant View. So anyway, I'd like to have you take that back, because this is my own opinion on the council. So if the other council members don't feel that way, I apologize, but we have nothing. We can't utilize UTA to get anywhere on any kind of time frame. There's one route through Pleasant View, and it's not beneficial for anything. So, if the ridership is low, that's why. You know, we have another route that goes along 89, out in the middle of nowhere to get to it. No one's going to walk to that. So, any elderly, any people that really need the use of UTA, other than, you know, to have an Uber or something, which is a waste of money, I think they have to personally come pick up people, I don't know. I just don't like it. Anyway, Mayor, we're done. Thank you for the time.
No problem.
Would you like me to
Good
comment
question.
or
Good
I
comment.
apologize?
You have a response?
Yes, I appreciate your position and thank you for articulating it because it is helpful for us to understand that this has been a disappointment in terms of how Pleasant View is looking at our service, and we understand that. And I would say that one of the things that we are looking at right now is, although structurally, based on WFRC's long-range planning models, 2041 is the timeline on this. I would also say that some of the elements that we're doing right now actually, I think, could potentially accelerate it. And then again, we have that uncertainty about growth and how that's going to be impactful to everyone in terms of traffic congestion. Traffic congestion, as you're probably aware, has actually reached pre-COVID levels. And so the traffic that we're seeing and the continued growth that we're seeing, that is not going to change and it's not going to go away. And what we're trying to do with legislation that just passed this past session is we are going to be strategically double tracking the front runner system from Ogden to Provo to increase frequency and to increase to have some element of a skip stop or a express service that can amplify and access to these other locations along the front runner system. And doing that, we also have to increase our bus service to make those connectivity pieces work more seamlessly. And it's not going to happen immediately. We anticipate, though, that this will help to enhance the utilization of the service and increasing that bus connectivity piece, which is in our 5-year plan models. We hope that will help to at least minimize traffic congestion impacts, not just to Pleasant View, but also to other communities in the northern portion. And when we do this, we know that part of transit is getting people to where they need to go. And I recognize that the Uber microtransit I described doesn't sound like it could be of value, but as a first and last mile solution, we hope that it can provide some. But again, I know that it has been a frustration, and I acknowledge that, and I would not disagree with you on some of those elements because it is a frustration, I am sure, and I do appreciate you again saying that. So if there's anything else, I'm happy to address that or take any other questions.
Any other questions? Councilwoman Yuri?
Just a comment along the lines of what Councilmember Gibson has stated. We had a presentation done 4 years ago where much of what you just said was said then, and I'm just wondering why things haven't changed since 4 years ago. All the microtransits and things that you are mentioning haven't been implemented in 4 years, so I'm not sure what will change in the next 4 to 8.
That's a great question. I will tell you candidly, COVID did part of that. So the microtransit was on a pilot program, and that started in November of 2018, or excuse me, 2019. And that basically created an environment that we didn't have enough data to understand how ridership would improve. We had a couple months and then COVID hit. So it did create a delay, and we had problems with that. I would be happy to go into detail. I recognize that you guys have a meeting and I don't want to take it. I would be happy to reach out to you individually and make that connection and answer it more in detail if that would be helpful to you. And again, I'd be happy to do it for everyone or whomever would like to do that.
All right, thank you for the offer. Just please take to heart what Councilman Gibson said. We, as a city, I think we've done our part, and it is frustrating. You did mention some corridor preservation. That's for the front runner to Brigham City, right?
Correct.
And did you mention, maybe I missed it because we can only hear like every third word, but did you mention the cost associated with that preservation and where the funding's coming from?
I did not mention the cost, and the funding is coming from multiple sources. It's coming from local sales tax. It's also coming from money set aside specific to corridor preservation. And cost is, so $3 million, I did mention $1 figure, and that $3 million was given from Weber County to the city of Ogden to initiate some of that corridor preservation just north of the Front Runner Station in Ogden downtown, heading towards BDO was the goal. And as you might be aware, land costs are extremely varied and going up right at this time. And I apologize that I didn't realize you couldn't hear some of what I was saying, so I'm hopefully I'm speaking louder. But it is going to be an ongoing thing. And in Brigham County, Box Elder County, they have set aside a tax base, and their corridor preservation is probably 2/3 complete. And we anticipate that would end or the corridor preservation should be completed within the next 4 to 6 years, depending upon land sales.
All right, helpful information. Thank you very much. Any other
You're welcome.
questions? Okay. All right, thank you. We'll move to agenda item 2. It's a discussion and possible action regarding a 1-year progress review of an action that granted an exemption to the home occupation conditions to allow a person other than a bona fide resident on the premises and conduct outside the primary structure on the premises for contractor business at 3400 North, 1000 West. The requester is Darcy Monk. Darcy? You brought your support system with?
I did.
Thanks, Brian.
Do you want him up here as well, or?
Sure.
He can, sure.
Okay.
This is Darcy and Brian, right?
Yeah.
Brian Monk.
As we pick on people, then it's much easier to pick on you than her.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's why I brought him.
Okay, let me just remind everybody that, let me find it first. Gosh dang, I should have been turning pages as we went. There were 4 conditions that we talked about a year ago that we gave exemptions on. One was, there they are, sorry, got it. One was what we mentioned in the description, that persons other than the bona fide residents were employed on the premises. And you mentioned last year that you had someone in the home helping you with office work and helping tend the kids, right? So that was that. Plus you have employees that kind of come and go.
We have employees that come in the morning and then leave for the day, and then they come back at night and pick up their car and take it in.
Okay, the other one that we made an exception for was that the home occupation is not physically, that would not physically change the dwelling to the extent that that it would alter the residential character of the dwelling and the residential atmosphere in the neighborhood. Last year there was some concerns about the yard, the back portion, and just kind of the way things looked. So we'll need to address that. The third item was that the home occupation will be conducted wholly within the, not wholly, but wholly, within the primary structure of the premises, and you do have, your business is outside, so you run the business from inside, bro, so we talked about that too. The other thing was that the home occupation shall not generate vehicular traffic not commonly associated with the zone that it's located in. So those 4 things are the ones that we kind of had an itch with last year that we gave you exemptions on. So it's been a year. We just wanted you to come in we've all driven by, I'm sure everybody's had a chance to go by the Mox home, and we made some really good progress on the yard in the past few weeks, so good job, Brian. So, she's cracking the whip, you're doing the work. I got eyes, I can see. But there are still some problems, like from the street, we still see the same problem that we saw last year in the back. So let's give you a minute to talk about it. What I'd like you to do, though, is share with us, if you will, your plan going forward. We talked about this last year, right? So if you could give us an idea of where you're at with each of those things, what your plans are, so that we can make like as informed a decision as we can tonight.
I appreciate the time and the opportunity to share it. First off, last year we met right kind of in the middle of COVID. COVID prices have changed our trajectory of how fast we were able to put a shop up, with the price of lumber and everything like that, that with the price of the shop, it would have doubled, as well as our addition, and so that kind of delayed things a little bit. So we haven't been able to put the shop up or finish the addition on it, excuse me, or on the house. We have put a storage unit along the north side of the property, so you can't see the piles and, the piles are the steel shafts that we have. So you can't see those from the park per se, but we haven't put the shop up yet as well. That was something that we planned on, but just with pricing with COVID, that has made our budget, and the price of steel, so our costs have gone up, but the markets for steel is still competitive, so we have to be able to charge more. So that kind of plays with our ability to be able to put that shop up at this point.
Not sure that's going to get better.
It
may not, you're right.
It's probably not going to get better, but we have been budgeting for that. It's not that it's just not on the radar, it's just not, it wasn't nearly as soon as we had wanted to be able to put it up.
We had a few different conversations with people, and then when we went to go get started, the price had doubled, and it's like, I don't have double right now. And then, you make another plan, and it's, I don't know, you guys were, like last year lumber went up 400%, so far this year it's already gone up 150%. That's just, unless you can turn it around like that, your price, and I understand that's what we're all dealing with, but it's just, we're paying out of pocket for this, it's difficult to pay double what you budgeted when you go to do it. So that's been a big problem with actually getting the shop done and getting prices. Right now, it's so expensive.
And you realize that those things are still, they're still evident. But I do want to say that with having business run out of our home, it has provided some opportunities for the community as well. For instance, after the windstorm, we had calls from multiple neighbors saying that they had trees on their houses. We didn't charge anything, but we were there that day with our machines, our machinery, taking trees off of houses, using our dumpster to be able to help them. We had that whole week, we did not make a profit at all. I have a very strong feeling of not having a major crisis be a profitability loss. I paid for the cost of my guys to be able to go out there. We made nothing that whole week, but we just helped people in the community be able to get their house back together. And primarily here in Pleasant, because people kept calling us. They're like, can you do this? Our time was free. But there were a few that I'm like, okay, I've got my guys that if you want to just pay them, then you can. But having those resources here did provide, it has been a few other times where there's been little emergencies here or there that because it is accessible right here, it has enhanced the community as well.
Okay.
One question, what is your plan at this point? We see what you've done to this point, which, in my mind, isn't really where we want to be right now.
Right, it's not, and I agree with you 100%.
So what's the plan going forward? What do you propose?
So our plan going forward, we are looking at two different options. I'm looking at either we're looking at the cost differences between renting off-site and having the business run off as an off-site entity or building a shop. And right now, we've got three bids with a 3-month turnover rate that are still coming in, that we'll have within the next 2 weeks.
Darcy, is that shop you talk about building on your premises?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're looking
it's a
at,
barn essentially, but a place where we can get the stuff that's visible, not visible.
right. So that's one option, and then option 2 is being able to rent somewhere else and have that off-site and weigh the cost and differences of those two. So within 6 months, we'll either have started and finished the shop, or we will be off-site.
Okay.
Mayor? I just want to make a comment, and again, you heard my UTA comments on this.
No,
But, I remember this very well. We gave a use or permission with some regret a little bit, I think, of turning it into something in a residential area. I think that's where our big rub is. What it looks like, what it is, just how it affects the community, the neighbors. I've asked, I don't know if Sarah found anything on, complaints from the neighbors, complaints, from noise or from whatever it is. We have to take those things in because it's for the good of the city. I don't think we ever argue that you deserve to have a business. I don't think that's ever been it. It's just where put that business. And, I'm trying to build a garage, and I understand all that, but we have a certain standard that we need to have. And it's really tough when I saw this on the agenda, and what do? And promises are promises, and the problem is you let some stuff go, and then you feel like you're taking advantage of it a little bit. Does that make sense?
Oh, no, I.
And so you give somebody some time, and all of a sudden, it's like a renter.
Mm-hmm.
You let them slide on 1 month, and all of a sudden, 2 months behind, 3 months behind, and then you're sunk. You start that eviction process that minute that they don't make that payment on the first, or whatever it is. But it's a tough thing because we're looking at it as how it affects the community, and the look, sound, just the placement of those things. And so it promises and all these different things, great, but
the outcome matters.
But the outcome matters, yeah. It does matter. I would love to say, okay, 6 more months. Okay, let's have it done. Who knows what's going to happen when we just have some discussions, but it's a tough thing.
I agree completely.
Where we look, and I've driven by, and it's tough to have a business and have a yard and have all those different things. That's why generally, businesses in some other area, you have your house here. Keep the weeds cut, keep the extra cars out so we don't have it looking like a junk pile. Not that your place is, but that's what we look at when we have a nuisance. Nuisance complaint, keep the weeds cut. You're not going to have a manicured lawn, but I don't want, weeds. When we have somebody come in, you want broken down cars, get them out of there. It's a nuisance, and then we want Pleasant View to be maintained at a higher level. And so that's what I'm looking at, and that's what the discussion we're going to have is, how do we allow these guys to continue with that? So,
have there been complaints or concerns?
That's what I was going to ask. Have there been any complaints? Jill is our compliance officer.
And you need to be on the mic, sorry, with the Zoom, and sorry.
There's been 2, but we didn't count them anything or put them on the books at all because it was approved. We just let them know what was going on and they let it go.
How long ago were those complaints?
It was in the fall, about September, October.
An idea of what the complaint was? Was it about noise? Was it traffic? Was it?
The yards, both of what they could see from the road and then the side.
Can I ask Joe a question?
Absolutely.
So I just want to understand, because I needed my memory jogged. The reason why this came to city council is because when I just did for verification, because there was complaints made, so you checked into what it was, right? So how did this come to city council originally?
We did receive some complaints at the beginning. It was then given to Debbie as it was a business, and they came in to get the variance, from what I understand.
That was a year ago.
And that was for noise, I believe, right, when those complaints came in then?
Not all of them.
Okay.
Okay, so that was originally for the business application, and so they couldn't meet the conditions
Yes.
on the home occupant, and so that's why it came before city council.
Correct.
All right, so,
Mayor?
yes, sir.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
Go ahead.
So appreciate you guys coming in. I'm just looking at our ordinances here in 5.18.010. It talks about home occupation. It kind of gives us our like marching orders or rules of, conduct. And so it talks about what's lawful and what's not unlawful. And underneath these items, it seems to me that there's 4 things that you're not compliant with, okay? And I'm not sure that in a residential area you will ever be compliant with them. Because like, for instance, one of them says, the home occupation will not physically change the dwelling to the extent that it would alter the residential character of the dwelling or the residential atmosphere of the neighborhood in which it's located. Furthermore, it shall not disturb the peace and quiet, including radio, blah, 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 right? So like I'm thinking, when I drive by, it doesn't even look remotely like neighborhood home in the backyard, right? And so that's just one of them, and there's others too that talk about vehicular traffic. This morning I stopped by early just to see what it was looking like in the coming and going of your employees and stuff, and as I pulled over, a big tractor came pulling in. I'm like, that's not normal neighborhood to and fro. And so, we can give you like a variance on this or that for a short time, but when there's 4 items, like it just doesn't fit. This industrial type business, in my mind, just doesn't belong in a neighborhood. Like it needs to go somewhere industrial, somewhere commercial. So that's what I'm struggling with is, if this happens on 1000 West, then why can't it happen on 500 and 900? And, this is what like Steve says, this is what we're trying to protect residents against is like, we want to keep the neighborhood. So.
Would it be a different experience if they were enclosed trailers?
In my mind, personally, me speaking my mind, no, I would still feel very.
Because there's some down our street that have the same thing.
Agree.
We're not even the only ones on the street that are operating businesses with equipment.
And they have enclosed trailers instead of tractors.
And
Which needs to be addressed as well. And so I don't think you're unique in the situation that as the city is moving forward, other businesses need to be addressed that may or may not be allowed in residential areas as well.
So I guess, the hard part is like, we have our rules, our laws that we need to follow, So it's not like, we think you're great people and we really appreciate you in the community and everything you're doing, and it's not a matter of that. It's just a matter of like, we kind of have to follow the rules for everybody, So.
So I want to just make a comment and we'll go to Dave. This is tough. I battled for you last time, right? I'm going to battle for you again, and I want everybody to listen close. The Mox yard is not perfect, but if you drive down 1000 West, you don't have to, you can look either direction going down 1000 West, and there's places that are 10 times worse on both sides of the road, right? So I get that there's a mess in the backyard. I get what Ann's talking about, and I agree. I totally get that we need to follow these rules, but it's their livelihood. And I hate to see that yanked out from under them because they haven't been able to follow made some promises last year, and we've just not been able to keep them. I would like to a way to make it work, and if they needed 6 months, that's what was mentioned. Give them 6 months so that and at the end of the 6 months, it's like do or die, right? You either comply with the ordinance or we have to do something more drastic. So, I mean, that's that's my argument in your favor, but kind of nasty, but it's still, it is what it is, right? We have to follow the ordinance, but I'd really like to see you get another chance, but I let you tell us how long it was gonna take. You said 6 months, so.
Can I make a comment? Oh.
Sure.
The hard thing too is if, just thinking about the future, if you grant them another 6 months to build a shed or a building, and then you guys come back and say, nope, we still don't like it. They've spent money.
Right.
If they go out to rent, then it's a different situation, but you're also messing with their finances too. If you grant something and then it's still pretty bad, or that you don't want it, you're saying you gotta move out, they've spent money. There's that situation too.
And if we're saying we want them to be compliant in 6 months, what does compliant mean? Like, that's gotta be very specific, and we all have to agree on what compliant means, so that they don't go build a shed and we go, still looks industrial, you can't have that.
But to Lori's point, if they've invested all that money, it's still the same story. If it's their livelihood, it's the things that they're depending on or whatever, and now they're out even more money. Now what?
Things that need to be done.
Can I ask why though? Because if the residential fuel is supposed to be kept residential fuel, what's the difference between 1000 West and somebody wanting to do this up in Pole Patch? It's no different. It's not an industrial zone.
It's working now.
A brand new subdivision that's going behind on the west side, who's going to border all those properties, they're going to come in and say, they're not compliant with what your ordinance says. So are we going to go rezone 1000 and say, just right here, you get to have an industrial spot, even though it's residential, and we're not going to follow our ordinances?
It's really hard.
I'm just saying, because if you allow it on 1000, somebody over next to you gets to do it, next to me gets to do it, up on the hill gets to do it, because what makes this situation any more unique than anywhere else?
Yeah, maybe that's where we need to get, really specific about, and I don't know, maybe we can't even get specific about it, but, the amount of people coming and going, what kind of equipment, is it an all-day kind of thing? I think when we originally talked about this trucks were leaving in the morning, they were gone all day, and they come back, got their cars and left. I don't know if that's the case. It doesn't seem like that's the case, but,
I guess the question is in residential areas, the way that I interpret it, you're supposed to be able to drive in a residential area and not realize really that the business is there. Yes, we have people out of compliance, but this has been brought to our attention. Since we don't have a code enforcement officer, this is how we address the issues. So what do we do in that situation? It's been brought, do we, keep to the integrity of our ordinances for the good of Pleasant View, or do we say, darn it all, everybody's nice people, everybody wants to do what's best, or at some point we have to care about the laws that we have? I don't know.
Are there different ordinances with horse property versus just a standard law
Not for businesses.
for agriculture?
Businesses are completely separate for zones. It's based on a residential area, whether you have a half acre, third acre, all of those things. It doesn't have to do with residential zones. It just, zoning, just residential areas, period.
So let me use another place on Pleasant View around 1000 West as an example. At the south end of Pleasant View Drive, or of 1000 West, is a Gardner home. the horse business? That's a home run business, is that, I mean, it's,
We don't have a business license. Thank
they
you.
don't have one? Oh, they
Well,
don't?
now it's just been brought to the city's attention.
Thank you.
Oh, they don't have one? Okay, never mind.
That's how we find out, is people tell us, or they complain, or they say something, and then we send out notices.
Oh, send out a notice.
And then they come in to apply and see if they can be compliant, much like this situation, and then they find out they can't, or they can.
Kevin, I'll propose something. I mean, we had some stipulations from the very beginning, and I don't feel those have been met. And I think you would agree as well.
Absolutely.
And that's what we based our variance on to begin with. You know, like, I think we have the obligation to honor some of that as well, because we did give you, you know, we gave you the green light. But again, as I said before, you know, how much rope do we give you to then hang out? I don't know. I mean, I like what Ann says, you know, what specific things do we want? But we want these specific things that we agreed on to begin with. And 6 months, I mean, I know prices have gone up, but they did not go up until the spring. They weren't up last fall like they are now.
They, actually, last year, between the time we did it and the end of the year, we went up 400%.
Well, but they've gone up 3,000% then since then, but.
Well, I'm just saying, it's.
But prices have gone up.
Yeah.
Absolutely no question, prices have gone up, but, and I don't know, and I don't want to get into any of your personal things or any of that, but we just, it's black and white. I mean, we really, we agreed, I agreed on the things that we agreed on.
Right.
And those have not been met. And that's what alarms me the most. Because we give you, you know, Kevin wants to give you another 6 months, then what? Then we're back here again, and you already, you know, then you've invested whatever you've got, just like they talked about, money into it. You know, if that's not going to end, then, and it comes down, again, I really don't care. If you have 2 acres, really you can do whatever you want in your yard. I mean, I'm a property rights guy. You have the right to do whatever you want up to when it affects the community. That's where we are, is the community stuff. And I can go up and down, there's a dozen sites that I would love to just, you know, have the chief go and hammer something on the front door and say, clean up this stinking yard, because it doesn't match the way that I keep my yard, and that's not fair either. You know, if I could keep up with the Marriotts, for heaven's sakes, then, you know, they would all have immaculate places, but not everybody can be a Marriott.
And we've done a lot with the landscaping that will eventually hide a lot of that.
But you know, personally, I don't like those the sheet things. That's just a personal thing. Those metal pieces, that was very industrial. Something that would be down on.
I didn't like it either, but she loved it.
But I don't like it.
It's very modern. It's a that's a new modern look.
But it looks like something for a scrapyard. I mean, that's just that's my opinion. Okay?
It also doesn't hide what you have in the backyard.
And that's all that is an opinion. I don't like it, but just because I don't like it, that doesn't mean that you can't do it. But it doesn't match what I think a yard should be. Again, but that's what I think personally, just sitting here in my chair. That doesn't mean anything on the city council. So, Kevin, I mean, I don't think we can't shut them down today. I think you know we agreed on some things. We need to agree or have that stuff that we agreed on. You know, something hidden, something. You know.
Can I make a proposal?
Sure.
So one of the things that, as I was reading the code and we've been trying to figure out what fence to put around the back side, we would send someone up to the park to see if you could see, and we'd have something at 6 feet, and you can still see certain, like.
See, that's getting, we don't, I don't think that you know, if I stand on my tiptoes, or if you're 5'5", can you see it?
Well, and that's where I want to make sure that I'm okay though, right? So we're looking at things, and we're like, okay, this is a 6-foot tall fence, and we can still see it. What I would like to propose is if we could put an 8 or a 9-foot tall fence, the back wall that is the path, that's the city path, it goes along the retaining pond. That back wall that's held up with railroad ties, that's failing. And at multiple points, kind of as it goes up there. If we put up a retaining wall that was up to 8 to 10 feet tall back there, just because
We're not going to retaining wall.
It's not, yeah, not.
Yeah, but you're quite a bit down and the park's quite a bit up.
Right.
If you put a 6-foot fence, you're looking right over the top of it.
Yeah, so then it's up
Our
higher.
height limit is 7. I mean, it's 7 is the highest.
Okay, yeah, it's 7, I think it was 7, the 7 that we were putting the posts up. Anyway,
Yeah,
we
that's
read
the
through the
limit.
code and looked at it, we're like, okay, if someone's tall, they might be able, so but we didn't want to put anything up and then have to take it down. But if we did put something up, if we could have it so it wasn't visible along the north and the back side and had something along the front side, would that?
I think
something
something along the west side, I mean, just a shield, so there's a business side in the
Exactly.
east, house in the west, you know, your neighbors, I mean, that's, I don't know, I haven't heard from the neighbors, I don't know if they were the complainers or not.
What about the coming and going of employees and traffic and trucks?
I mean, in the morning, how many trucks do we have going in and out?
3 trucks going in, 3 trucks going
I
out.
don't care about that.
And what about like the large equipment that came in like this morning?
It's
Like a tractor.
the truck with the tractor
There's
on
just
it.
many excavators there. And trailers way more than.
So, can I just make one more comment, I'm sorry?
Absolutely.
So for me, it's not even a matter of hiding it. I feel like it's a business, you're running a business. I think it needs to go into a business area, so it's not even, I don't feel like, you know, if we shield it, if we do this, if we do that, for me, that's not gonna be enough, honestly, for it to fit into this residential zone. So, for me, I would like to, what are your options to go find something to rent?
What we've
That's
been looking
where-
at, again, though, right, retail business prices, like to get retail spaces dropped during COVID. Factory and or like outside yard spaces have increased dramatically. So even that has gone up. I mean, we've looked into it because we're sending guys to Salt Lake almost every day. We'd love to have a shop somewhere down that way. It's so expensive right now to find space.
Part of it's my health as well, that I can't.
You could still run the business from your home, like that part would be.
But you need to store all your equipment and have your business be run off-site.
So for me, there's too many hurdles to conquer for me. And I think that, again, I don't want to leave them homeless and without a business as well. So
I would almost propose something to the effect of, if you wanted to give them time to find another place to store it, not to fix their problem within the land while they keep their business license until they can find a place outside. And then that, you know, they could keep their license while they find a place
Are
outside.
you saying then that they could still run the business from their home, but they want all the equipment offsite?
Their storage, their equipment, go back to what the intent of a residential area, yes. So you could run your business out of your home and nobody would know the difference if it's run out of your home.
Well,
As
that's what
long
I'm saying.
as the business, you don't
Darcy's
have your
limited,
equipment.
right? She runs the business and she's not gonna leave.
No, that's
But she
fine.
could still run the
People run
business from her
businesses
home.
out of their houses, yes,
But
but
you're saying the equipment, everything that's in the back that's
your
an
employees
eyesore,
on
dumpster,
that's
machinery, yeah.
So,
That goes again, I mean, going back to what we agreed on a year ago,
but they wouldn't have anything on site.
we
on
did
their house.
agree to that as a variance with the idea of hiding it.
we did.
And
But
that-
it doesn't work out that way.
Well, but
It's not.
but they haven't hit it. I agree 100% with what you're saying. I wish it was all gone. I wish everything was gone. But we did agree to that a year ago, if they did certain things that we've allowed. Now we're going back on that, changing the rules a little.
Well, we
Because
had
we
here,
gave a variance. Anyway, I don't know.
or I guess my other option would be, I'm sorry, it's not compliant, it's not in a residential area.
You brought up a comment that there's business that's operating off of 1,000, and I'd like to see it so that you don't know, at least none of you know that it's working, that it's happening. That's the kind of thing we want to have happen here. And we don't want to make it so that the business is operating, but no one knows that it's operating, right? It's clean, it's quiet, it's conducive to the neighborhood. I think we can make both of those work, but I'd hate to just shut you off right now, right? You know, to be done. It's hard to do. At the same time,
But
Somebody want to make a motion?
I'm trying to work one up here in my head.
Good luck.
Well, it seems like it's gonna be a 3-2 vote, I think.
Hey,
I-
let's see what the motion is.
Well, what is your motion?
I don't have, well, I have one, I'll make a motion. But I'm not sure if I can make a motion. I get a vote.
You're a council member.
Okay, have them come back with a plan, conducive to that. I mean, right now, there's not really a plan. Sure.
Right, and I think like if we need to come up with a plan that addresses A, B, C, F, you know? And if we can address A, B, C, F in this ordinance.
You have those?
But it would have to be, it's not just about them, it's about all of the residents in Pleasant View, and do we want this everywhere else too? Be careful with what you're doing.
Agreed, but we already did it.
Yeah.
I know, but you
Like for a year
can
ago.
learn from your mistakes and move on.
So I asked a question, if we did come back with a plan, would there be an optimal time to make sure that the trucks were not coming or going during those hours?
What do you mean?
So
No.
on F, it says that it will not generate traffic not associated with the zone. So we want to make sure that we're not impeding any traffic, that if it's not an active time or something like that, is there a time that would be optimal not to have a truck going out?
It's a residential zone, you can't have trucks.
But
Well,
there's trucks going on this.
We have trucks, I mean, 3 trucks coming and going is not, to me, that's not an issue.
And we have that same setup that goes up and down that street 100 times a day.
Yeah,
Ours.
I mean, personally, the trucks aren't an issue.
Yeah.
It's what Dave said.
I think,
I don't wanna know that it's there. You can have it there, but I just don't wanna know it's there.
Sure.
so B is the big issue,
Right.
item B.
And-
Like,
So if we had a shot in place by July 1st, or
July 1st.
Well,
August
but Darcy, here's my other concern with that. We'll go back to, what if the shop doesn't meet what we like? Then what? Now you're out a whole lot of money, we say sorry, or we're feeling really bad and guilty of, dang it, we allowed this, and now we better allow it more.
I think what you're wanting more, it's not even so much the shop, it's that, one, we could change the fence, I didn't like it either, so I don't have any issue with that.
That's a man thing,
Yeah,
probably, right?
I don't.
I like the fence,
And I
Darcy.
did from the get-go, but we could do something to hide all that much better from the front, so as you're driving by and stuff, you can't see
I mean,
what's
it
back
is,
there.
I go back to the variance, we probably should not have granted the variance to begin with.
I agree.
It was only a 1-year variance though, right?
Well,
I
it was a variance, but we wanted to make sure that it worked. Now, you could argue that it's not working, so we're gonna do away with the variance, and then you guys are up and drinking. I don't want that. I mean, I want you to have a job, I want you to be successful, I want you to be wonderful members of society, of the community, all those things. So, I would make them, well, I don't know how to word it.
I would.
I don't know how to word it, but we just want to not be seen. And that out of sight, out of mind is a crappy thing, and like, to go back to Ann, I mean, does it meet all those things? No. We've already done it, we've already down the road a little bit. And I personally can't pull that rug out from underneath you, I can't do that. So if Ann or Sarah votes to pull it back, I'm not gonna work with that, I can't do it, but I want to have something better for the community. And if we have to go to some of these other places that are also in violation, then we're probably gonna have to do some of that as well.
I have a good idea, you ready?
We don't want to open those can of worms.
Well,
We'll chase after anybody.
they're already
Doing the
open.
same thing, we don't want, well,
It's gonna allow expansion. So what if their business
No.
grows? Are you gonna, you got 3 trucks, does it matter? Do you want 10 trucks? I mean, do you want
A truck
expansion?
won't trailer up and down, I mean, as long as I think there's a limit, and I'm not gonna say it's 3 or 10, but I don't think you fit 10 trucks back there.
No.
So they're not gonna have 3 or 10 trucks back there.
Okay, so this is what my thought is, and maybe this is what, I would give them one of 2 options for 6 months. Either you build a fence that covers and you can't see it from the street, and your shed, or you find a place off-site to rent. That would be my proposal. In 6 months, that has to be done, otherwise we're done.
And if I could quickly chime in on this, just to clarify, if any of these 4 highlighted provisions in the ordinance aren't being met, we'd still require some type of action for variance. So if they do that, kind of as Councilmember Yuri just described, and do kind of impose that, then you all would still need to approve a variance on the other 3 items or 2 items or whatever. That's at your jurisdiction. But if it's not fully met, and if the ordinance needs to be changed, we can go relook at the ordinance, you know, and how that affects everybody. But for the most part, just to heads up that there would be some type of variance requirement if we're not.
Is your long-term goal to not have it in your backyard? I mean, or is that?
Yeah,
Is that?
absolutely.
I mean.
We don't want it there.
Yeah.
We'd love to not have it there, honestly. Yeah. But we have 2 things going against us. One is her health, so especially as we were getting up and starting, and as we're bringing new employees on and stuff like that. I work at Hill Air Force Base, right? I'm not there during the day. So she runs the business. And we.
Well, that's a whole other problem, Hill Air Force.
Right.
We won't even bring that one up.
But yeah, that is the ultimate goal, is to not have to have her, but she really can't be out and about.
Yeah.
So we looked for an option, and it's been really good, but the reality is we're 3 years in, and almost all our capital goes right back into, you know, product and trying to keep up and get the business where it needs to be. So yeah, long term, absolutely. We're not going to be there. Or, well, we're going to be there. We love the area. We don't ever want to move.
I mean, is 6 months a realistic thing? No, I don't want you saying July 1st or August 1st.
Right, no,
Because I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, because that doesn't help
well, that
either.
just gets us back here where we are right now.
Do you like that? In 6 months, one of those 2 has to be met, otherwise we're moving forward.
I don't put a stipulation on the shed, because I mean, the shed's for your equipment to keep it under. I don't personally, I mean, I don't see anything that.
It would have to be
a shed puts crap in it.
I'm just saying.
But
It would have to be a privacy fence all the way from the front side, so you cannot see it, or they would find a rental place outside. And they would have to meet the other conditions on here.
Okay, just a second.
I'm ready to make a motion when you're ready.
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we table this for 1 month and have the MOCs come back with some suggestions on how they can get around these items of A, B, C, and F, how they can be in compliant to those 4 items. And if they can't be compliant, then we would consider variances for each of those specifically, but we would need just more specifics. So that's my motion, that we table it, so we get more specifics.
Very quickly, if you could specify in that motion if they can continue operations during that period.
Yes, and they can continue operations until.
It being tabled.
Or readdressed
I'll
in
second
1
that
month.
motion.
And would you repeat your motion one more time? Sorry.
Wow, that was so good the first
It
time.
was good.
But wait a minute,
You don't get any notes.
No, she's got a motion.
Now, I'd like to make a motion that we table this, allow the MOCs to continue their business for 1 more month, then have them come back to us as a council and address the items of A, B, C, and F, how they can become compliant, or how we will specifically allow variances on each of those items specifically.
Okay.
Okay, motion by Arrington, second by Gibson. Any further discussion?
Are you going to be specific on what type of variance you would allow for A, B, C, and D? Because I think that should be set as an expectation rather than just an open-ended book of what we would or would not.
I like Ann's motion as
Let's give them the
stated,
freedom to
that
come up with a solution.
gives them the right to bring it back to us.
And they can reach out to us, like, you have our numbers, and they can reach out to us in between the time and talk to us,
As
and
long as there's not an expectation that the variance would be allowed.
we're gonna address it when they come back, if they.
When they come back.
With their, is that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that fair?
We appreciate it. Absolutely.
That's more than fair. We
That's more than fair.
Okay.
So I do have some suggestions with this. When you come back, could you bring pictures of your property? You know, what type of, you know, the transportation stuff that's coming and going, and maybe if you have a plan, that you have a detailed plan that, you know, maybe the type of shop that you're gonna be putting up, similar. Give us some detail to go on so we can make a decision. Right now, it's all, hey, what does the fence look like, and can you see over it, and all that, you know, so I think the details, the better the details you can bring back to us, the better.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you in a month.
Thank you.
Will you be sure that gets on the agenda?
Yep.
Awesome, thank you so much. I know.
Are we done?
Not even close.
Item number 3 out of 20. Is discussion and possible action to approve Harris Hills Phase 3 final subdivision acceptance and end the guarantee period located in the vicinity of 1075 West, 4150 North. Presenter is Jill.
Carson's right here.
No,
He's just here to listen.
I'd say this is Carson. We got a
He's
whole-
sitting there nice, with his arms folded.
It's Carson.
And, pillows, because we're gonna get deep into it.
So, Harris Hills Phase 3, for those of you that don't know where it's at, it's above 4,000 and 1075 west. So there's, all the infrastructure's in, it's met that time period, been and gone out and inspected, everything's upholding what is expected, it is up to city standards. So, with his letter, which is in your packet, we are presenting to you for final acceptance, which means it would end the guarantee period, and we would take responsibility for the infrastructure.
I don't remember which one's phase 3, so can you, does that?
Will
we
you
have to
pull up
pull it
the-
up on there?
Do you have, no, wrong one, hold,
Is it on the flash drive, is that?
yeah, it's on the other flash drive. Nope.
Oh, do you know what? I didn't put your flash drive in. Okay,
I'll
you went in there.
Thank you, Larry. Okay, May 25th?
Yep. Okay, go to the next one. So this is what it looks like. If you go off the bottom, there's a 4,000 north, but up top it's 4125. So it's just that one strip of road, and it does connect up over to 4125. And everything is completed,
Mayor,
yeah.
in lieu of time, and because this is Carson, and I just want to do something good for Carson today.
Medic.
And because all the requirements have been met, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Harris Hills Phase 3 final subdivision as stated in item number 3.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Gibson, second by Yuri. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Unless Carson wants to
Motion
find
passes.
something else,
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Well, that is the first time I've seen Carson
I don't
smile.
want to interrupt that at all.
is he smiling and happy?
He's smiling and happy, look at that.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
What do we do wrong, Carson?
Nothing.
Sorry. I felt so good, I was on top of it.
Carson, have you donated to the Veterans Memorial yet?
I told him I would.
Okay, there you go.
Come on, line up,
For breakfast, though, I told him we're gonna have to go out back and wrestle, because I don't like the idea.
You can still come, you can help, sure.
We're looking for another sponsor.
For now, I'm gonna have to, I'm relegated to the shop now for breakfast. I can't.
I can send you our sponsor schedule, Carson.
Let's not go in a rabbit hole here. Let's keep it on the task. Okay, item number 4.
Sorry.
Discussion and possible action to approve Rocky Meadows Phase 2 preliminary subdivision plat located between Pleasant View Drive and 3200 North at 1200 West, parcels 1913 0010102. Do I have to read them all?
No.
Presenter is Jill.
I'm most of your packet, sorry. So, this is Rocky Meadows Phase 2 preliminary. They came through a couple years ago, and hopefully you were able to flip through your packet. So, originally, it was one full presentation. We ran into the issue of the sewer, Central Weaver Sewer, so we got creative. They did phase one first, so they could still continue. So this is the second half, which is the northeast side, and it will connect to 1100. So if you notice, there's a little jog out. They bought a parcel that's just off of 1100, so they're gonna put a road through there. Sorry, my brain kind of went foggy there. Okay, so we'll hit next. And this is what the layout looks like. The detention pond is in phase one, so they don't need one for the second phase. It was calculated for the whole project, so it does have enough in there, so we didn't require it for the second one. The idea with that road going and connecting to 1100, it has enough for the right-of-way, and then those owners that are adjacent to it will inherit or receive that extra land. There's 24 lots. We did have one comment through Planning Commission, and I spoke with her. She's one of the residents that are right next to that road that will be going in. She has some concerns. But I did speak with Jason, who is the applicant, and he's here. Him and Doug, we said that they would reach out to her. They did talk to her in our meeting a couple years ago, but that it kind of dead. So they are working on that with them. The red lines have been corrected, so there are no red lines at all. Everything's good to go. So that's why it is presented to you, and as staff, we recommend approval along with the Planning Commission has also recommended.
Who was it, you said had some issue with the road? Was it the neighbor on the south side? West north.
North. So right where the cul-de-sac is, she's the corner of both. So she has a.
What was her issue with the road? She just didn't like it?
She had some concerns inheriting some of the property and having a fence have to move and some expenses that she didn't really have set aside for that type of issue. Oh, they have an update. You wanna?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Mayor, Council, my name is Jason Hamblin. I'm the developer, and we spoke with Erica. She's the owner of that property, that home on the corner. And her main concern, as Jill had stated, was the additional expense of putting in the yard and moving the fence. And we have since spoken to her since the Planning Commission meeting, and we assured to her that we're going to be putting in those expenses, on our cost. So, and she's completely fine with that, because we're going to be deeding her additional property to make her yard larger. So, her main concern was, who was going to cover the cost. And we told her as the developer that we plan on doing that for her. So, that was just a reason.
Not that it necessarily needs to be, but where it's like been a complaint in the past, is that something that you're gonna put in writing with her, or is it just a handshake thing?
No, we can put it in writing if that's what the city and the council would like to see.
I don't know that the city would require that.
Okay.
I just think it'd be like good on your part
Okay.
for her to know that, to reassure her that your word is good.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
I don't think the city's gonna ask you to do that, so.
Could I make a comment? This is Doug Hamblin.
Hi, Doug Hamblin, go ahead.
I did talk to her, like Jason mentioned, as well as the Becky's, her neighbor, and the neighbors across the way, and reassured them that we would be putting together an agreement with each one of them and making sure that their wishes were met as far as how they wanted it completed, fence moved, whatever it might be, that we would cover the cost. So we will have an agreement with them that is signed.
Perfect. Okay, awesome.
And Doug's been the one personally working with those property owners.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Mayor, I have a question. Go ahead.
So, and this is for Jill, I guess, but is that road required there? What is the reason that we have the road there?
To make it compliant with their code and how long that cul-de-sac would be, that would have to happen.
We can't do cul-de-sacs that long for good reason, type.
Yeah,
Utilities.
And it helps with connectivity as well.
Getting in and out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense to do that because of that, I mean, the issues getting in and out of there. It's also with, you know, you have one house between, a T intersection and the next intersection. Sometimes it's not exactly a quiet street.
And I understand that that was the one lot that was available, and to be able to have that long of a cul-de-sac is kind of what they were able to come up with.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve Rocky Ridge Phase 2 preliminary subdivision with staff recommendation and the other items in item number
Rocky Meadows?
Rocky Meadows. What did I say? Rocky Meadows?
Rocky Ridge, I don't remember.
Rocky Meadows Phase 2, as stated in item number 4 on the agenda.
Okay.
I'll second that motion. Did you mention the conditions to red line?
They're all.
They've been correct.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion by Gibson, second by Yuri. Any further discussion?
I have an additional one. So the cul-de-sac at the end ties into a lot that exists there. Is there frontage there? Is that a buildable lot? I mean, it has a home on it right now.
There's a home.
Do they have any access off of this subdivision? I mean, off of
It's
this?
not part of this subdivision, so it's not required. It already has a building on it. So
Can they access it though? Is that?
I'd have to look closer at it, but they do have access on Pleasant View Drive.
You
And
know-
that's what they've been accessing on.
From what I understand, that homeowner is probably getting some of the lot, or one or more of the lots there. I'm assuming they're gonna tie into that. I just wondered if there's access there.
So, yes, that's actually correct. We do have an agreement with the board that, they'll have the first right of refusal on a couple of lots, and those larger lots back up to the cul-de-sac, so they'll most likely be one or two of the children, butting up to their family's property.
I personally think we need to address the access to that. I mean, if they could access it, or we're saying no, they can't access it.
You mean, can they access it from the Moore property? Or
Can they access their own, will that cul-de-sac allow them access, which they probably don't really want right now, but at some point they may want that?
I don't think,
But
that's not part of the,
city's
it's not part of the subdivision.
responsibility to make sure they have that, they need to address
Yeah, that's
that.
the property owner.
Yeah, that's not part of the subdivision itself, so it is a good issue, and it's something we probably should look into, but it's not part of
And
it.
they should bring that up if they want, but I don't,
Yeah,
I
they want-
personally don't feel it's part of the
It's
subdivision.
different. It's a different issue than the
Yeah.
preliminary on this. And this is a preliminary, right? So, okay, we have a
Is that
motion.
Kelly Moore, is that who that is? Kelly?
Yeah. In fact, we named the subdivision after Rocky after he passed away.
I suppose in future things, you might be able to bring it to their attention that something that they could address with the developer when that comes. But that's still their option with the developer to figure that out, not the city to make sure that that happens.
That's correct. We have a motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Thanks, council. Appreciate it. Thanks, Jill.
Thank you.
Okay, we all hope we don't have to pass through the subdivision named after us. Just.
This special request.
Yeah. All right.
I think there are several Baileys out there.
Yeah, there's a few babies. Okay, item number 5, discussion possible action to approve Fox Meadows Phase 5B, final subdivision plat located at the west end of the Fox Meadows Drive off 600 West. Jill.
Okay, I only have a couple more left, So, Tri-Terra, has presented their final for Fox Meadows Phase 5B, which is the second half. You want to hit over again? So, originally it was one whole phase, but they decided to split it in half, so this is the second half. They are ready and wanting to escrow and be able to record. So they have the complete application, the escrow sitting in by my desk, so that's ready to go. We do have the escrow, which you have a copy of, and I did verify it is legit posted and the exact amount that we need. The taxes have been paid for this last year, and there is no issues according to our ordinances, and they are ready to record, so that's why it's brought before you for their final, to be able to record and move forward. They have done some, construction, so we did take that off of the escrow, just so you guys are aware. So we are fully aware of that, it's still being worked on.
I know they had a big deal getting to access on 2700, but that's nice and that's done.
Yes. So
That'll actually help 600 traffic.
staff has presented it to you and hopes to approve. All of that.
I got a question.
That's great.
My packet preliminary looks different than what that looks like up there. Do you know which one's the most recent?
The attachment 2, right?
Am I looking at the wrong, I'm looking at, which one are you looking at?
Is that what it looks like?
Yeah. So
That just, it's the same thing. That just shows both phase A, which is on the one side, and B, which is circled. So this just shows you B, because this is what the escrow is for, it's just for this side.
And B is the yellow highlighted?
Yes, so
Okay.
this side is all A, and this is off of 600. B
Okay.
is that half.
Okay.
Joe, is there a fence requirement there? I know we have fences all.
There is a fence
On
there.
phase A,
On the phase B.
To be, are you talking about the wall or the fence?
the wall.
The wall they are looking to do, but they are getting ready for the building permit first, once this is done. Because they can't get a building permit or anything until it's recorded.
But it's required as part of it?
The wall, yeah.
The wall is not
No,
required.
they just put that up
That's what they're
themselves.
wanting to help with this.
Yeah.
There is a fence up right now.
The wall isn't required.
They're gonna do it. They're gonna hire.
They're going to, but the wall's not required, it wasn't required.
The fence is there's like a barbed wire fence.
Yeah.
They want to continue to also.
But I think that they promised the residents who live there that there would be a wall.
Yes, and so
And
they're
so-
going to be finishing that one. This is done.
Yeah.
Retention is along that,
Yes.
2700.
It's right in the middle of that, isn't it? Yeah.
It's right, if you look where the road is, there's 2 lots and then a big square, that's where the
That big
detention pond is.
Sort of.
Gotcha.
And all of those within the yellow rectangle are zoned for residential, right? For high-density residential.
The only commercials down on the east end where it has the road curves when it comes in.
That's correct. I'll make the motion that we approve Fox Meadows Phase 5B, final subdivision plat. Okay, motion by Bailey, second by Gibson and Mary. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
There's some nice little homes there. I've been to a couple, they're really,
I haven't talked to anybody that hasn't loved it.
they're really nice.
Yeah.
We're keeping people in Pleasant View.
Keep my wife from looking there. All right. Item number 6, discussion and possible action to approve Blue and White Business Park final subdivision plat and escrow located at Blue and White Boulevard North on 2700 North.
Okay, so Rulon White, which is just east of Hartford Boulevard, they're wanting to record so they can be able to sell the lot. You want to hit over again? There you go. You can see the lots. There's 7 of them, and they have completed their application. They put, their escrow is a little bit larger, one because of the size of the road, and they don't have as much done compared to what Fox Meadows has, and their taxes are fine. The city doesn't have any issues. We did verify, it is posted, and it is correct on the amount. Good, under the right account number.
Yeah.
That's never happened before, has it?
Just out of interest, how big are those lots? I can't tell.
Those lots are rather big. They're meant for industrial uses. So, is this C2? So, in lot 1 is just under 5.5 acres.
Okay.
Lot 2 is just under 4.5 acres. Lot 3 is just under 3.5 acres. Lot 7 is 1.25 acre. Lot 6 is 1.5 acres. Lot 5 is just under an acre, and lot 4 is just under an acre.
Okay.
So they're really good industrial size lots.
And then on our packet, it says something about red lines. Do we still need to address the red lines?
There are some red lines.
Okay.
But they've got to fix it before the Mylar can get recorded.
Okay.
It's nothing that big.
Go for that.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the preliminary application with the red lines on the plans and engineer's comments.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Harrington, second by Uri. Any further discussion?
I just had a question earlier, Steve and I were talking about, we can do a final approval without the road being done?
Because what happens is they have to escrow everything that they would have had done in their escrow account. So if they walk away, we have that money to be able to put it in.
They can either do it.
That's one
or
reason why we require that escrow before the final. So that way I can verify that it is posted before you guys say,
So
okay.
what is the escrow on it?
Their escrow, if you look,
On the back sheet.
it's on the attachment.
Is it on the very back of the page? Back of the,
1.7 million.
oh, that's
I got
not
the,
back.
yeah, it's fine.
When they can have the road done, if they give me any time frame for that? I mean, it's going in quick.
It is, they've done a lot.
Tyson Lund's on the call, I don't know.
Is that what, the winery's going on that section?
No, that'll be up at the Simon Go, yeah.
That's okay.
Oh,
I'm not sure I mentioned Rule on White Business Park in there. I'm not sure if that made it into the proposal, so let me just say, possible, I'd like to make a proposal that or a motion that we approve the Rule on White Business Park final subdivision plat and escrow with the red lines mentioned and engineer comments.
And I will, yep, I will
Okay.
second that.
All in favor?
Perfect.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
and if you don't mind, just again, a huge thank you to Tyson Lund and the JLAT Holdings Group to work with on this project. They've been really wonderful partners, and like you mentioned, it's moving forward quickly, and they are really doing a great job, so
If the
we
city
appreciate
can
them.
move that fast on a road. I'm serious. Private, they blew through that. All of a sudden, there was a road there. and
Get
the city
some
was
funding
part of
and
that.
we'll.
Next year, we'd have been cutting.
How much was that escrow for? How you got that kind of money?
No offense, Tyson.
Didn't he mention something about he'd spent his whole career doing this?
Yeah, he's been doing this a long
Yeah,
time.
well, so he's moving it along, so he's.
I'm always blown, every time I go by, it's being done now.
All right, item number 7, discussion and possible action to approve the road dedication and extend Ruin White Boulevard to Parkland Boulevard, located at 2741 North Parkland Boulevard, lot 17, the Parkland Business Center subdivision phase 1, owned by Pleasant View City. Jill.
So this is the last piece connecting Rulon White's Business Park subdivision, 2 parcels. This is actually our parcel. So this is why we're here to show, hopefully you were able to look at your packets to see the design. It's to be able to dedicate it and get it recorded, showing the road, that we can have those 2 subdivisions connected.
What are we doing with the extra property that's there? I mean, are we gonna?
That's our detention pond.
Or does it have to be a detention pond?
It is, because that's
where
it's for Rulon, Business Park, detention, and the portion of
That's
the
a
road.
large area that needs that.
Yeah, it needs to be there.
So this other triangle will be the triangle portion of it,
You hit,
like where the down arrow.
oh, maybe, I didn't put it in. So right where that
Where the arrow is.
that, the rest of that parcel is the detention pond.
Okay, awesome.
And that's,
We can see it in our packet where we.
yeah, that's where it's at.
We decided 35 miles an hour. I think that needs to be squared there.
That's just what they call it. That's between the 100 and.
That was just cutesy. We need to talk about that in another meeting.
There's regulations on that.
Made it extra big.
So, really, this is just so we can have that road dedicated and recorded as a road.
You want more detail based on.
It is on.
On the road, 106 feet, 2 bike lanes on each side, one on each side, sorry, and it's,
It's 107 foot.
I thought it was 106, but 107, whatever. So 2 lanes,
Dana?
median, bike lanes.
Dana, are you there?
I'm here.
It's 107, right? Oh, she can't hear me.
Yeah.
Is it 107 feet wide or 106 feet wide? Sarah's like,
Oh, I don't
got her
care.
foot on track.
The right of way is 107 feet.
107?
The right of way, yes.
That's why you should have mentioned that.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the road dedication to extend Rulon White Boulevard to Parkland Boulevard.
I'll second the motion. I'm pretty busy today, aren't you? I am. Now I know I can't be. We have a motion by Arrington, second by Bailey. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Let the road begin.
Let the road begin. Okay.
Relax, Jill.
Who is building that section of road?
It would be,
Same people?
So Jayla Holdings, yeah, they're building all of it for us.
Okay.
Yeah, great partnership again. They've been awesome.
Perfect. Item number 9, discussion and possible action to request to go. Oh, did I have an X mark? Sorry. Item number 8, discussion and possible action to approve an agreement between Wasatch View Estates and Pleasant View City regarding the sewer infrastructure ownership transfer on those parcels. Dana or Tyson?
Can everyone hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Okay,
Yes.
great. So this is another one of those private sewer kind of incorporation agreements that we've done previously. This is going to serve the Wasatch View commercial subdivision that is on 2700 North. But in order to get sewer, they need to pass through the Wasatch View Estates mobile home park. And there's an existing line that runs basically along the canal that has, it's already installed, and we have inspected it, or they have inspected it. We've reviewed the videos and everything, found no major issues with it, and the city is proposing to incorporate this into the public infrastructure in order to give the commercial subdivision a connection to public sewer.
Perfect.
Is it big enough pipe and everything? It's all there.
It's an 8-inch pipe, but that'll carry this.
It's big enough, I mean, to handle all the flow and everything too. I guess it's functioning right now, right?
Yes.
It's already in use and like even back with the trailer park being over half of the year, whatever it's not up to.
There's no, the trailer park's not there really anymore, I mean, it's going away, but are they using, I mean, it's not, there's no one tied into it right now, right?
There's some homes still in there actively, and then, DJ Bailey started renovating all their utilities for the owner.
Aren't they kind of, as their lease runs out, they're not renewing it and just letting them stay?
They're going to renovate Wasatch View and make it better.
But just the frontage is going away?
The frontage is deep.
Okay. Gotcha.
But they'll
Do you need a motion?
Yeah, go for it. Simon, just go for it. Go for it, Sarah.
Number 8?
Yeah.
No, okay. Where is it on my, so, how was that late? So, Mr. Mayor Pro Temp, I'd like to make a motion to approve an agreement between Wasatch View Estates and Pleasant City regarding sewer infrastructure ownership transfer. Do I need to list the parcels?
As stated.
As stated.
Okay, have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Yuri, second by Marriott. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes, thank you. Sorry, I forget. Get so
When you
excited.
sit in that chair.
I know, it's a little nerve-wracking. Want to trade places with somebody. Item number 9. Discussion and possible action for a request to go out to bid for transportation master plan. Is Amy ready?
Yes, thank you so much. I will try not to take too much more of our time this evening. So before you is a request to go out to bid for a transportation master plan. I referenced this a couple of weeks ago, and hopefully today I'll do a better job at kind of describing what we're thinking with this. So as you all may recall, back in January, we were the recipients of an active transportation grant from UDOT, and as part of that, wanted to put together this more comprehensive transportation master plan to look at roadway usage and how that interacts with pedestrian traffic and bicycle traffic and all of that. And so we have this draft request for proposals to go out to bid, and it's very comprehensive. And so just to quickly review what's included in this, it's a desire to really map out what our future transportation needs are, look at our existing roadway conditions as well as sidewalk conditions, and then have a prioritization on how best to move forward with implementing funding for those. So we're asking the consultants to do 3 central things as part of this. One of them is a capital facilities plan. So again, that's where we're looking at future funding for our roadway needs. And so areas of the city where the roadways are falling apart become this prioritization, and we can work from that list and really kind of trying to work on the existing areas of need with that. The second, and with that too, identifying funding sources. So Councilmember Gibson referenced earlier, there's been a lot of money go into this transportation funding. Well, maybe we need to go and apply for some of that to pull it back in to our roadways and to try to do some of that. The second is impact fee facilities plan. And so this is where, in working with a survey of other city managers, they really recommend doing a study to establish what your roadway impact fees are. And so as new development is coming in and as our city is experiencing growth, really seeing what are those long-term impacts and how do we best capture those so that it doesn't impact the city's bottom line in a negative way. Because roadways not only cost up front to install, obviously, developers do put those in, but then there's the long-term costs associated with those. So just taking those into consideration and really doing a study out of those. And then again, that third piece would be that active transportation component, and because of the way the funding is structured with that UDOT grant, about $40,000 would need to be dedicated to that portion. So with that, the proposal would be, if there's comfort from the council, to issue this RFP next week, and then from there, to start the study around August or September timeline.
Mayor,
Yes.
I know that I'm not gonna make the motion because I know that this is not the feeling of the council, but I'm so tired of studies, wasting money on studies. We have a great idea of what we need for our roads, for our transportation, things for sidewalks. Whatever this, I know we got some money, but that's just a small portion, and I don't wanna waste our money on this. I just, study after study after study, traffic study, you just do all these different things, and it's just money down the toilet. The only people that get it are the consultants, and we spend all this money for that, and I've never seen us get a bang for our buck out of these types of things. You mentioned several things there that I think are important. I think we could maybe take a piece out or some of those different things. But we did a huge study on our roads, and I know, a couple of years ago, every road was judged. Where is that study? Are we still utilizing that?
RSL value?
Yeah, well, everything's a failure. They told us what we already knew. And we spent $20,000 or $30,000 on that stupid thing. We could have put that towards roads. So anyway, I'm going to let the council do whatever, but I'm going to vote no on this particular thing because I hate it. I think we throw money away, and that's what government does, is they're just so good at that. Throwing money away. Let's do a study. We don't have things.
Help me understand. Help us understand. The money to do this study came from where?
So half of the money will need to come from the city. The other portion is from UDOT.
A grant, we got a grant.
We received from UDOT, and there was a match. There was a 10% match, so $4,000 from the city. And so there is, to Councilmember Gibson's point, there is the option if you decide not to proceed and pursue, then that's absolutely an option, and we don't accept the funding.
Is it easier to receive funding from sources like WCAG and UDOT and whatever when you do a study to prove that you need the need? I know that sounds counterproductive, but to say something to show and that you've done I'm just asking.
And in concept, yes. So even with what we've done with Skyline Drive right now, because of the environmental impact and all of the study that's been done, we can apply for certain funding that others cannot.
So when you go to apply for funding, if you can't show the data, is it harder to get the funding?
It just depends on the grant you're applying for, but it can be, yes.
Well, do you want that people to tell them we need sidewalks in Pleasant?
No, I know, but
Do you want them to tell us the condition of our roads?
I don't disagree with what you're saying.
Tyson knows that.
Yes.
Do we need a new road?
I know what you're saying, and I don't disagree, but speak to that, if you may.
Yeah, no, please jump in, Tyson.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but part of this is so you can get that impact fee money, just like your water and sewer for those bigger projects like Route on Light. So that's the big part of it, is just like those, you can't assign a dollar value until you've done these types of studies.
Well, but we want to extend Parkland Boulevard out. That would be part of this study that would say, yes, we need that road, right? But we already know that we need that road. We know that it's way down the road, and it's going to develop as the development goes. I don't need someone to tell me that we need that. I don't need someone to tell me that we need a bike lane or something along 89. But we know that, and
we need this to put that dollar figure to the people using that road to help keep pushing those projects.
How many studies have we done over the last 8 years that I've been that have not developed into anything? How much money have we put into those things?
I think these type of funds use them. We use most of the stuff in the budget for water and sewer.
Well, like for instance,
capital facilities plans.
North Ogden, I'll just use them as a guinea pig here. North Ogden, when we asked for the studies of what they're doing to back up closing off Pleasant View Drive, they can't prove it or show it because it was in-house. And so now they're running into all sorts of problems, and they came up almost $1.5 million short. And so sometimes studies prove their effectiveness. I don't really care for studies because they are slow, they are arduous. I see what you're saying, Steve, and sometimes it's like, well, duh, yeah, we need roads. and we know that we need, you know, whatever, but,
If we had a huge chunk, you know,
so, but,
I can see if, you know, we want our new CDA down there, the joint thing that was supposed to happen is probably not gonna happen down far west. We might need a transportation something to help look at that, you know, what's the foot traffic gonna be, what's the bus traffic gonna be, we could go to UTA, but those things are so far away that anything that we do today in a study like that is gonna be out of date, we have to do it again sometime. I don't wanna do it.
Well, and they,
So help us make a.
Mr. Bailey?
Decision as we can. Tyson, is this
Mr.
something?
Bailey?
Sorry, who's that?
and that's actually the mayor. Sorry, not that you're not our mayor.
Mayor call.
Howdy.
Yeah, we didn't
Doing a
know
great
who-
job, by the way. I'd just like to, first, I know Dana had a comment also. She was raising her hand, but I don't know if anybody's looking at that. Dana, you probably just have to unmute and speak up like I did. I think one of the things the council needs to decide is if they want to do a impact fee for roads. If not, then we probably don't need this study. We can limp through. But if we do want to enact an impact fee for road projects to get some money to address the impact that's being made for all the new construction, then this study is absolutely necessary in order to justify that impact fee. Did I say that right, Dana?
Impact fees though on, every piece of property has an impact.
Not for new roadways specifically. So we have impact fees related to development, related to sewer, water, some of those other things, but not specific to roads. So they pay to put the roads in, but there's no long-term impact that we're capturing at
so
this
the
time.
requirements from the state and others is that you have to have a study to back up charging a new.
There's not a requirement, but it legally protects you.
Okay.
For
No,
a
there
new
is a
road.
requirement.
There is.
Oh, there is a requirement,
Dana's
Dana?
got
Okay.
There is a requirement.
Dana,
Yes, sir.
go ahead, Dana.
There is and I don't remember the population. I think it's like 3,300 people, but once you meet a certain population threshold, you have to prepare a impact fee facilities plan and impact fee analysis. That's the IFFP and the IFA in order to charge an impact fee.
And one of our most costly things each year is maintaining and upgrading roads. So,
And I guess one option too to consider, I mean, this is incredibly comprehensive, and so, you know, if there's different components that, you know, maybe the active transportation isn't something that you want to pursue, and, you know, then maybe that's something we pull out, but that's.
So go back to the roads, help me understand. So we have an impact fee right now in a permit for a business or a road or a house or something, right? Well, it's not tough. We have an impact fee for,
water,
sewer.
parks.
Sewer.
and
Storm drain.
But not, we don't have an impact fee as part of the.
Not currently for roads, and it's filling our budget.
have a
Well,
comment.
then I think we need to have something just
All right.
on the road impact fee, that take all the other crap out.
I just want to say to Steve that this is just, this particular study does have an end game. But if the council, you know, if we decide that we don't want to do a road impact fee, then yeah, the study will probably go really nowhere. But if we want to look at enacting an impact fee for our roads, then we definitely need this study. And I got to go again, so I'm going to jump off, so. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, it's helpful, thank you. Councilwoman Arrington.
Thank you. I know where Steve's coming from. I think we've been burned by consultants before, and it kind of gives you a pit in your gut a little bit, right? But I also think that oftentimes we don't have a master plan, and so we're piecemealing this and that, and I just feel like we have little pieces that are out there that don't come together with a general good overall, 10,000 foot view. So I know, like at my house, I got a landscape plan, because I'm not gonna put in a bush here and a bush there and a bush here, and that's gonna look awful. So I have just a plan, and I put in a bush this year and then one next year. So in my opinion, I don't think there's any harm in going to an RFP. Let's see what they have.
Yeah.
And I'd like to also just request that it's not just a dollar amount, like what are they actually gonna provide us with this, And maybe you spelled that out in the.
And I just don't, well, excuse me, I'm sorry, I interrupted you, I apologize.
You're good,
No,
good.
That's not fair, I apologize.
You're good. So, I just say there's no harm in an RFP, and then we can make an educated decision based on what kind of money we're gonna invest in it, if we're gonna get our money back from that investment. So that's where I'm coming from.
Going out to an RFP is not, this is not a risky issue.
Could we, well, but it takes us down a path, because could we do, as part of the RFP, just a road study or something like that, an impact of that aspect versus all the other, I don't care about, I don't care about sidewalks right now, because we don't have the money for any of that.
But I think it needs to be all-inclusive.
So we know where the
It's an
sidewalks
RFP.
go.
But you need to know how big you want those corridor roads, so even like, say, Parkland and Rulon, like that's been debated, I've heard 3 different times.
But those are set.
The years.
Those are set. We're not gonna,
Well,
are we gonna make Parkland?
they're kind of set, so that's where it gets kind of tricky and weird with it, because with what, we don't have a real transportation master plan in place, and so what we have is kind of this piecemeal together approach, and so you look at Rouen and then the newly approved width, and it's huge and it's wide and it's got those bike lanes. Well, then you go up and you hit Parkland, and then it narrows because we don't have the bike lanes anymore. And now we're gonna go up to Simon Go, and then it changes a little bit there. So there's not a consistent plan.
But Rouen White is gonna keep on going west. That's part of that. So anyway.
So if your master plan from that study was laid out, like the one we have to use
That's fine.
doesn't match.
Make the motion, whatever you wanna do, that's fine.
So,
Let's stop it, we'll get going.
you can, if you ask them to widen the road to what we do know we want there, you're paying for it because your master plan doesn't match what you're asking them to do. But if through all this, the study, fixing your maps, getting that plan all up to par, I think we have 2 different maps that are adopted that don't even show the same sizes from over the years we try to use. And then you're left holding that bag to get the road size you want, when we all know if you were charging an impact fee, if you had laid that out properly, you're not asking the citizens to cover throughout the whole city to cover that impact that industrial business brings in, or that heavy use commercial, and to get those roads up to what they need to be, like your 400s, if you have something nearby that impacts that area, you need to have that all, and we don't have it. We know what roads are bad, what roads we want to put some curb and get up to even a residential standard, but I can probably argue that 400 could be a little bigger than a residential. Most likely you're not gonna do that because you don't have any money to do it. But you don't have any of the tools to do those things. You don't have the money, you don't have the plan. Roads doesn't have any of those plans or information for that matter. They just know you have failing roads. That's all we have.
Okay, go ahead, Sarah.
No, Dave
I
had a
have
comment.
a comment, okay. So, I really like what Steve's saying, and we don't always want to waste a lot of money to do something we're not going to get a lot of benefit out of. But if there are a couple areas I think are beneficial that some of our future development, but I'm not sure I like the impact fees in general, just because an impact fee to maintain stuff. I mean, all of our roads are being put in by developers right now, right? I mean, that's pretty well happening everywhere. New roads, there's no place where we're asking to do a road other than Skyline. But
Kind
No,
of,
sort
Sort of not true.
that.
Can I chime in on that?
Yeah, please.
So impact fees cannot be used for maintenance. And that's why you have your TUF. Your transportation utility fee is what pays for your maintenance and your B&C road funds. Your impact fees are paying to upgrade the width and the pavement structure of your corridor roads. Because when a developer comes in, you're only legally allowed to make him build what his impact is on the area. He doesn't have to build a 107-foot wide road with a 30-inch pavement section. he would have to build a 60-foot wide road in order to serve his subdivision. But because it's a master planned road that needs to be larger, 80 feet or whatever it might be, the impact fees go to pay for the upgrade of those structures, just like they go to pay for an upsizing of water lines versus your standard size, your minimum size.
Okay, that makes sense to me. I understand that part of it. What is the total cost then that we're looking at?
There's not a cost of going
We're
after
just
an RFP.
requesting
We're just
for bids.
requesting.
So I did list in the RFP, and again, this is contingent on what you want included, but a maximum budget of $80,000, but $40,000 of that is that active transportation. So it'd be a maximum of $44,000 city dollars if this were to go forward as written.
That's not money.
But that, it's not, no.
It's still not proposal.
Exactly, so that's going after proposal and saying, hey, this is.
Like, let's see what comes back.
And then we can address.
And then we can
the issues of
address,
what that
before we
is.
approve that purchase, then we.
Well, and if you do move forward too, I think if there's council members that have interest in sitting on a committee and reviewing these, they're welcome to too, so, see what.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, can we do all this ourselves? I mean, I think, like Steve's saying, we already know pretty general what we want in most cases.
We can't do the impact fee by ourselves, but other than that.
And going to one of our major costs, maintaining roads and whatever else, and how do we know what to charge residents or legally be able to charge them? Without a study, you can't charge impact fees, and we don't have money to maintain the roads that we have.
Can we?
This is not a maintaining the roads issue.
This is part of maintaining the roads and upkeeping the roads.
This is incredibly comprehensive as, yeah, there's 8 pages worth of requested information, so it's very comprehensive.
Can I ask a question? So it's basically broken down into 3 sections, right? Is that what you said? So like an
Well,
impact
there's
section?
3 main components, but the main thing is to get an overall comprehensive transportation master plan.
Would it be an option to have the 3 components broken down in the RFP, or is that not a viable option?
So
if
into
we
3 separate RFPs?
Or just have them
separate elements.
separate them out?
Yeah, they're broken out right now in
They
your.
could do that in their
packet.
bid. So if we decide we want to just go with the impact fee portion, could we do that, Amy?
If they come back with a proposal,
So-
and you say, we don't want these 2 portions, we just want this.
We've had stuff.
Yeah, they could do that. If you do want to kind of pick and choose one portion, I'd probably recommend breaking it out into a separate RFP.
Why would we want to do that, though? Why would you want to only choose one?
Just to understand the cost.
Yeah,
That
that
would-
would break down the cost, and like, for instance, like Steve and Dave may be able to stomach more of the impact part than another part, or whatever, you know? Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that we put, a request to go out to bid for the transportation master plan. We're gonna get some RFPs, and I'd like them detailed out in those 3 sections, so we can make a decision on if we wanna take the whole lump, or if we wanna break it down and accept, you know, 1/3 of it, or 2/3 of it.
I'll second the motion. There's been motion by Arrington, second by.
Sorry, I have to do 2
Further
jobs.
discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay? Okay. Motion passes. So RFP will go out, but please break it out as stated. Awesome. Okay, item number 10, discussion and possible action for a request to go out to bid for a mid-sized then track mower and aerator attachment. Tyson.
That was supposed to be for the purchase, so sorry I missed that.
Oh, it says to go out for bid. That's like,
They're
we're
just
gonna,
from state contract.
Oh, these are
Sorry.
state?
Yeah,
Okay.
I should call that.
so it is for purchase?
Yes, it would be for the purchase of.
Okay.
That's in
On
the packet, not the agenda item, but the packet discusses the purchase.
What happened to the Dixie chopper? We sell it?
They're still trying to use it, they had to, so you're starting to not get, parts for them. Cause, they, I guess went under, or they got bought out and discontinued, or they're about to be. So they've had, problems getting parts for it. now for a while. We got rid of the littler one and got that replacement last year with that, riding Kubota. So this would replace that larger one. It's kind of the backup for the bigger field mower, and then your mid-size areas up through the trees and, the pathways. So this bench rack will match the one we currently have for the stormwater. So it kind of gives you that backup, because right now if, you lose the stormwater bench rack or the attachment, you don't have a great option to keep your stormwater sites and some of the water sites maintained.
So you're talking about just purchasing the tractor and the aerator?
Tractor, aerator, and then there's a fine mower deck.
And it's under budget at $28,966.50.
It's under budget. I put in a request that's the optional, it's in green, it's just a canopy, just where this one will be out in the field, just in that.
So
It's just a nice.
Like
way
shade?
to keep there's just.
Big umbrella.
It's not a full cab or anything.
You don't want it
Just to block the sun, so it's not just beating on the guy driving it out all the field and all that stuff.
Can we buy it if it says a bid, Lauren?
What do you
It
think?
wasn't supposed to say, because the staff report says purchase.
I know, I was thinking it was going out to ask, I didn't know, I didn't get that it was on state bid.
Can we
I missed that
amend
something.
the line item?
Well, with the way it's posted, and it's up to
Yeah.
you, but I think that it may be better to move it to another agenda.
I'll make a motion, Mayor, that we bring on number 10 back when we can buy it.
I'll second that motion.
Already.
Motion by Gibson, second by Uri, all in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, Texas.
So hopefully the price doesn't go up in 2 weeks.
Gonna go down. Paperwork's wrong.
I like positive thinking.
Everything's going down in price.
Yeah.
Everybody loves mowers.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
There's
All right.
no rush on equipment.
Item number 11. Budget workshop, Lori.
No, this one is really just for you guys, if you've gone through your budget, any line items that you have questions on or whatever, now's probably a time to talk about them, or to see if you want us to do some more work on anything. I'm just going through, anytime I hear somebody say something that they need a change, I've been putting in red. So when you get the final budget, June 8th, anything in red will be changes that we've made, because people have said something or something's been wrong. So if there's anything that you want questions on, answered, or now's your time. But there is the public hearing June 8th, which we can sit there and spend more time on. But if there's anything particular, let's bring it up, and then we can start doing research.
We can just.
And you can call or email us too, Dave.
We can just
Yeah.
call you though, right?
And then I'm just starting a list of things that people have asked for and things that we've missed or need to add.
Do we have a change for pickleball?
We don't?
Okay, I want to put that on there.
Okay, we need,
Just a placeholder even.
Pickleball, is that what you said?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
on.
there is a spot for
There's a
pickleball,
spot,
there's
but
just
there's
not
no
any funding
dollar.
yet.
Dollar.
There's a place where there's like 3 or 4 lines for pickleball.
Yeah, we've been adding a lot of placeholders just to remind us what's coming up, but nothing, no.
Okay.
That's all.
All right, so do we really need to prolong this?
No.
If anybody's got any questions, we can call Lori. Is everybody good with that? Anybody have any questions for her right now?
When are we gonna amend the budget for this year?
It'll be June 8th also, the public hearing. So both years, this year and next year. On
Do we need
June,
to amend anything for the Founder's Day, if we buy a bunch of stuff, do we need to amend it for that, or just?
yeah,
that?
tell me by,
As is, like, $2,000 or $3,000.
Yeah, but I just wanna make sure we cover, I mean, I really wanna get those tables and things like we talked about in those.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I don't know if we need to amend the budget for that.
that will be June 8th,
Yeah.
and so if we need to make some changes, that's the time.
Could you do something else on that? Just-
Yes.
And I've been working closely
What
with Laurie to try.
Do you remember?
It's under parks,
What page is it on?
let's see if I can find mine.
It's on,
There are some things, see that we.
Look on page 15, page 16.
And then, when we talked about taking tables, I know you desire.
I mean, I know that's not for the budget, but just as we amend, I just want to make sure to get those in. So-
Yeah, we'll make sure that whatever we're expending, we have enough funds for, and if not, we'll bring that back as an amendment.
Or if we have any extra, and I think we're doing fairly well versus what we projected, right? I mean, are we close? I don't know.
No, I've looked at sales tax again, and I'm still gonna up it about 20,000. It's just a weird year. I think it's fake, the economy, and so I'm having a hard time putting my head around, projecting. It's just weird to me this year.
But we will have a good idea, I mean.
Yeah, we'll have a good idea for this next,
For
this
this year.
year. Mhm.
Next year going forward, though, that's the crapshoot.
That is, yeah. I'm trying to be conservative, but yet not too much that, we're,
Keep us
yeah.
in the black, we don't want to be in the.
I know, it's weird.
Laurie will always keep us in the black.
I hope so.
Is she a tax and spend girl?
That's not Laurie.
That's why she's.
All right, let's move along.
What?
Can I ask one more question about the budget?
Absolutely, yeah, sure.
So Lori, I think I already asked you this, but refresh my memory. Why is
Yeah,
pickleball
thank you for
courts
that.
next to Shady Lane?
I think we put them in several places, because we have no idea where the pickleballs are going to be. At one time, they thought about buying property there by Shady Lane to put pickleballs. We've talked about like every single place, so.
It's not
Is there
necessarily
enough space between,
relevant.
when we took the old parking lot out?
Of where?
The old parking lot, we took that out.
Which, Shady Lane?
Shady Lane, is that enough space to put a pickleball court right there, next to the, do you know what I'm talking about, the old parking lot? We grassed it over,
Oh,
Right-
I know what you're talking about.
just west of the restrooms and the thing, going to the street.
The southern end of it?
I don't know if that was,
I'd like to keep them,
I don't know if it
together
would block off access like the car show, because we do extend that way, but.
So to answer my question, Shady Lane was just, that's
They
just
used that
there,
as
that
a
doesn't
field?
mean
It was an idea years ago, so.
Kind of like Kevin pull us back, but I think the intent is to form a pickleball type committee to kind of channel what the plan is, and then we can get fundraising and apply for ramp funds and see what we can do.
Right.
Okay, moving on. Everybody ready to move on?
Are you still here?
I got a question.
You're fired. Do we need a closed meeting?
Not tonight, because did you see my text?
Oh, yep,
We'll just talk about it in the next, in the business.
okay.
Is that a no?
Is there?
So no.
All right.
Skyline discussion at all?
Not yet, it's coming though, maybe.
Yeah, so I'm working on setting up a meeting, with our Skyline group to talk through, and then hopefully we'll, nothing too,
No, I mean, after. What's going on?
oh, definitely, no.
Yeah, I'm asking for future, what can be discussed, whether it's not appropriate or appropriate.
Oh, if there was anything, there's nothing too new on that one.
Okay. Other business? Let's start with, do you have something?
I do, but no. Well, go ahead and start. I was okay.
Jill, do you have anything? Tyson, do you have anything?
Yes.
Yes, you do.
Oh, talk about that, opinion?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They've already talked about it.
Yes, I do.
Okay, yes, you do.
I would just speak for you.
I'm sorry, I send long text messages.
So
Not a joke.
yesterday, Weaver County Planning Commission approved the, sell off the parcel, that little
Teeny
triangle.
piece?
Really?
Right near your home, fair market value of, 3,300. That obviously isn't budgeted for anything specific, but that we have currently, so we would need to do something on that.
They want $3,300 for a piece of ground. How about they give it to us?
Yeah, they say per their code, they're required to charge charge that amount. So that was all part of that discussion, that they had to charge that fair market value of taking at that $3,300.
So do we need to like bring that back to council for approval?
Yeah, so I think we could put that on as an action in a couple weeks. Just wanted to see what gauge your interest. Yeah, we can put that with a budget amendment, but wanted to gauge your interest on that. Appreciate the proactivity on this one. Thanks.
Yeah, no, it wasn't me, Dana, or contacted Weber County, and just happened to be the right person to start talking to. So
Show us where that is.
It's just a little piece of, that's a little triangle,
just
screwy little piece
about
of ground
kind of
that was the county owned. I'm sure they probably acquired it through taxes or something.
Yeah, it was like 1901, they picked it up, and it's just.
It's been there forever, and it's just like
This becomes
sandwiched
part
in
of all the
between.
decant.
Yeah, so this
facilities
will
that piece
and stuff.
directly attach to
Okay,
the
so I'm
main
gonna use your
body of that.
I don't know if you guys want me mapping for us. Just
Okay,
the pro.
we'll show you right where it's at.
So we were hoping to get the info from Sean, the whole.
Yeah, you drive.
And all that.
Okay, sorry, Laurie.
Surveyed everything, they already had everything they needed to do that part. We were.
That
hoping
little,
they-
right there, that little diamond, that little
Do you see it?
triangle.
It's this one right there. Okay.
So that'll connect that corridor through the two main pieces of that first.
Sorry.
That's a, yeah, that's a really prime pheasant hunting spot right there. So we're glad that the city could purchase that, because that would be ideal for those that live right next to it. Just kidding. Sorry, Mayor.
Now, whether that ends up being a road straight up the back, or part of a bigger facility, or whatever, we don't know that yet, but it'll just be part of that whole area side.
Okay, anything else, Tyson?
Well, sir.
We put that on the agenda then?
Yeah, we'll get that on there, and, yeah.
We will have to amend the budget to purchase it though, right?
We'll add it in, yeah.
Okay, Chief.
A couple of things of interest here. You've probably seen our new radar trailer out. We've been moving that around the city. People are seeing it. We're getting a lot of requests for it. So we'll keep it moving and try to satisfy some people, maybe slow some traffic down. It seems to be working out real well. Of course, school's getting out this week. We're already having some nighttime activities with kids. We had a couple of windows shot out of vehicles last night. We think of some type of pellet gun, BB gun, airsoft gun type thing. We had two in Pleasant View and North Hog. We had 4 or 5. And one of them we got on video. It just shows them going by and pop, pop, pop. But just for fun, taking out windows on vehicles. So, I think school's about graduation yesterday, and one day, and we're into it already. Also, we had a resident in the city who was sponsoring a fight club with teenage, I assume just boys. You sign up, you go over and get somebody's backyard, beat each other to a pulp, and the winner gets to fight somebody else next week. So,
Should be the loser.
Wonder if they got a business license.
yeah. Anyway, we broke it up, and they know that that's not part of what we do in Pleasant View, so we'll keep an eye on that, make sure it doesn't continue.
Was it sanctioned by anybody?
Just kids. High school kids. We sit in Harris still on family fight the other night. The individual had a gun, so we don't like that type of trend starting. Individual was talked down. We got the gun away from our officers and Harrisville's officers. So that's when it gets a little scary out there when we start having a little standoff with weapons in the middle of the night. Other than that, we're moving right along with investigations and patrols and different things, and we're staying busy.
So thank you for everything. You show the guys understand and the gals, sorry. Understand how much we appreciate them. Yeah, we love them and appreciate them. Appreciate that they keep the city safe. All right, Lori,
Nope.
Amy,
I have something quickly, and I know it's been a hassle so far for you all, and will maybe continue to be, but we're doing a big focus right now on cybersecurity. So there's been a lot of ransomware hacks going on with smaller communities, and it's kind of a scary security threat. So Laurie and I have worked with our IT, and you probably saw the emails, but we're going to have to dual authenticate the emails to try to help secure those a little bit more. We're working on security with our website, with, just various factors to try to make sure that we're protected as much as possible with our servers, just so that we don't get in that horrible situation where they're trying to get lots of money out of us. So sorry for the hassle and the pain.
Are we backed up off-site or separate anywhere? I mean, we haven't backed up.
We have a couple off-sites, but he would like to maybe look at maybe a cloud or something, but still have the
In addition
off-site.
to, yeah.
Still have the off-site.
We've got to have that for sure, something, so that we can back something up if we have to close it.
Yeah, it's hackers, they have nothing better to do. Chief, if you could work on that.
The option with the dual authenticate, whatever that we have to do with Outlook, it gave the option to save a lot of it.
Can I jump in, Kevin?
Yeah.
If you're going to talk in this much detail, you should do this in a closed meeting. There's no sense telling the world what we're doing with our security. I'm just saying that's one of the things you're allowed to do in a closed meeting, because here we're talking about exactly step by step of what we're doing to protect ourselves, and that don't make a lot of sense doing a public meeting.
Mayor, my password is.
Yeah. Write it down and hold it on the screen for me. So anyway, just wanted to point that out.
No, thank you,
do you have
Mayor.
anything else, Mayor, while you're online?
No, and I'll probably be leaving again here in a minute. So
Okay.
thanks.
Right. Sorry about that.
Amy, could you talk for just a minute about, maybe, we talked about the meeting we're gonna have with people in the,
Our groundbreaking.
no, not that.
No, and
You wanna wait?
talking about the one with the property.
North of property owner meeting?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
About the.
Yeah, in the plus,
That's just.
yeah.
Something.
No, I'm happy to do that. So there's a patch of properties around Pleasant View Landing that don't currently have street connectivity. And so we're scheduling a meeting next week, because some of them have a desire, as the development's going through, to connect into that roadway. I'm going to have a meeting with them next week to talk through, see if there's possible options, solutions that they can work together, collaborate on that.
One, breaking news thing I heard today, that there's a possibility that R&W bought Nayland's, so that could totally change things, right?
So I did get, a resident that lives in Pleasant View, family lives right next to me, he did tell me that RW bought it. But I did pull up abstract, I don't show anything yet.
Okay.
So I know RW Country Homes are
That could be
buying a lot of property for rentals, and we're trying to, get all the little ones taken care of, so I don't know what I haven't heard anything yet at this time.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Bill. Anyway, that meeting should be entertaining at best, and should be.
Well, hopefully we can come up with some good solutions, yeah.
Yeah, we just want to come up with what solutions are best for the city and to try and accommodate some of the
Is it
residents' needs.
just the landowners there and the developer?
It's
and
the
Dana?
landowners.
Just the landowners and Dana right now, just to come up with some possible options.
It's just the landowners, we're just trying to get it
And
together. And Dana, and well, the city.
Okay.
The city would include, Dana, me, and Amy, and Tyson,
The mayor.
and the mayor,
And the landowners. Okay.
and the homeowners. It's really just to kind of help them get an idea, there's been some interest in having these lots be buildable, and they're kind of hitting some roadblocks, so we're trying to help
Find some options within
Yes.
what we can do.
and kind of help make these a little bit of a
And if they coordinate together, it can actually be a major savings to them in that. And so probably the next step would be to involve the developer possibly, so.
Guys, you're awesome.
It's a
Way to
good
go,
one.
staff.
It's a good one. All right, Councilmember Gibson. Security issue.
We're getting down to crunch time for Founder's Day. So Heather, we're working on, her and I think Sarah, we're gonna go over the newsletter thing. I've got some stuff that I'm gonna have for tomorrow. The Grand Marshal and our Assistant Grand Marshal, whatever we're gonna call it. But just please, I just don't wanna forget anything. So as you guys are thinking, let's not wait till the next meeting. Let's kind of just call me. Just let me know what were the little things. I was in the shower. That's not a good thing, but I was kind of thinking about all the things I need to still do, and there's just a lot of those things. I just don't want to let any of those things slip by. So if you think about something, just mark it down or send me a text or something so we can for sure get it on, for sure get it handled. We haven't talked a lot about the city council's, our thing in the parade, but we still have time for that. But what we've always done, I think, should work and have a good time. But two things, I want to get tables. Amy did a great job trying to find tables. There's not any around, but I want to still budget for those. But that's part of our amended budget that I want to do to get some tables, as we talked about. The other thing, I cannot find any used warmers for the Salmon Bay.
And the mayor actually had a contact for me to reach out to, and I haven't had a chance to call him yet.
I've checked 5 different restaurant supply places in Salt Lake. They don't have those. They've got electric ones. I found one guy that has 3 electric ones. He was selling them for $1,500 a piece, but he'll lower it to $1,200 for us. And I talked to the mayor a little bit about it, but I think that might be good because we can set the temperature. The health department always comes and checks the meat, an hour into it or half hour into it, and it's always so hot, and it's burning my hands anyway. But
Have you checked the Weaver School District, because they do, cycle out their warmers? They have them.
Well, if they have them, maybe you can give me something with
I'll
that.
give you a contact. Yeah, they do, and they surplus them, and then they get new ones every.
If we can get something like that, maybe that's a good idea.
And I'm happy to help however.
Yes, I can go with Boyd.
And also.
Electric,
Well, the ones that we have now, we just put little sternal things in the bottom just to heat them up.
So do you want electric? Is
Well,
that what you're looking for?
that was a question for Tyson, if we plug in 2 110 things over there, do we have enough power on that end of the park to be able to handle that? I don't know, we've got some plugs in
There's power up at that battery, I don't know how.
But would it,
There's a tall, refrigerator.
but would it be able to
We
handle
have it.
2 heaters?
I don't know if those warmers are even roughly equivalent to the burners, like the hot plates. I don't know the power on that.
I don't know, I mean, it would be, 2 big hair dryers probably, I think we'd have to have a 15 amp, good solid 15 amps on each line, I don't know.
No, when the electricians come up for this one, I'll just have to stop down there and we can even talk about
But
that.
that's an issue that we might want to bring up, if we're going to go electric, or, and we're plugging in freezers, we're plugging in all those different things, I'm just worried that we overload whatever minimum circuit. I know we added a big circuit for the car show down that has plenty of power down lower, but did we bring anything up for the Bowery aspect?
No, they just, when they came for that.
What about
off the field?
What about off the restroom? Do we have anything off the restroom over there that is upgraded power? I don't know.
No, I'll have to look into all that.
But anyway, what does the council want to do? Should we, now, I can definitely pursue the warmers, and do you know what they are, what I'm talking about? These are,
They're the tall,
they're
refrigerator.
the tall things that they fit a full-size sheet pan, not the half pan, but they slide in, and you can have about 20 of them in.
Every kitchen in the district uses them.
So we need at least one more, and I want to get 2. Because in years gone by, we've stacked, we've used the slide, and then we put another one on top of it. And that squishes the fillets, which is not good.
Gotta keep them fluffy.
Gotta keep them.
Exactly.
1,000 pounds of.
But we could be spending possibly $2,400 if we get these 2 electric ones. So that has a glass door on it, and the things, but it'll hold it at whatever temperature we want it. So if we want it to say 140, we can hold it at
Some of
that.
the rental prices were pretty up there too.
Yeah, and we Heather got a price from a rental company for about $800 for 2 rentals just for the 2 days, and we would have to go to Salt Lake to pick them up.
You do this every year.
It's $800 to rent 2 of them?
2 of them.
And $1,200 apiece.
So I'm texting a few people in the school district and just asking. if they know.
What is the council, I mean, but, and we're running out of time, honestly, we need to get something.
Is it just because you have to store that, can you get rid of the fresh fish first, keep storing it, and then just keep rid of the
We do, but
fresh? or-
they're cooking all day, and so they're wrapping and putting them all in the thing, so they're still cooking. So if we start at, when do we start, at 6? 5? 5, so 5 o'clock. So they'll have those 2 trays full at 5 o'clock. And we're pulling them up, but they're also still wrapping and cooking fish all the way, for the next half hour, 45 minutes.
Can the fresh ones be not put into the warmers, but just give to the people and just?
No, we have to
can't-
put them in, you have to keep them at a temperature by the health department. And so you have to have them in the warmers, you can't just have them sitting out on the table. They have to be in those warmers. Like I said, the sterno, you like that, and a couple of years they got too hot, they almost started cooking in the warmers because we had them so full that the bottom ones were heating, and then they were tough, and it was kind of embarrassing. So we need, we ordered 1,000 pounds of fish, and Becky's ordered those. And so we've had so we have 250 extra pounds of fish that we need something. So Sarah, if you
I'm just finding out, see if
I
they
think
do.
we need to, I don't think anybody's gonna be opposed to spending money on something we use every single year.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm asking if
but
they
it is
do
once a year, but
whatever.
I wanted to I asked the mayor, he said, just talk to you guys. I said, let's pull the trigger and get 2 of the electric ones coming and just have it be done. But if we can't plug them in, run an extension cord, that's gonna be problematic as well. So,
Well, how about if we include it in,
well, we have plenty of room to store, I think.
Talk to the Schofields about hooking to theirs.
Yeah.
Anyway, other than that, just.
So you can check out power? Okay.
Yeah.
We can start
Okay.
over.
Hook on those warmers and see what kind of voltage they require. Is that what we're?
It's 110, but sometimes you plug in like a hair dryer, and that's creating heat, and you can't have 2 hair dryers on the same circuit.
Right.
Yeah, we can vet out and research, because I don't know if Heather priced the non-electric too.
Heather definitely priced the non-electric.
Are they
She priced
way more?
But it's insane.
Check with that Jason guy that the mayor told you about though, because he's in the business of,
Yeah, I had some time to call him tomorrow.
There were several places we could buy them, at these restaurant supply places, but nobody had anything used. And to buy them, they were gonna be August or September before we could get anything in, because they're just out.
You can help me, Joe.
okay.
Coffee.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Councilman Mary.
So I have one question about the Pleasant View Landing now. So, the residents below that, the connecting to the utilities in the road, I think there's, land drain and there's a couple other utilities we're connected to, we're having to go clear down to Mount Orchard Drive. I don't remember that being in the discussion, the approval, but we're now tearing up slits in the road to get to that point, and then they'll repave, eventually we'll repave that. And I think there's a lot of concern right now about that road being torn up and ever being back to normal, wondering if we should. I thought the utilities were already stubbed in all the way to the top of that KC lane, or KC subdivision, I think it's called KC. I'm wondering if we ought to look at paving that section or having them pave the whole thing instead of just having that a big patchwork of utilities along there.
So they'll have to follow those patching standards. So anything so close to the curb, they'll have to pull out because it won't hold up as an individual strip. And what you'll end up doing is when you come back in roughly a year to 2 years, depending on how fast they build, you'll come in and chip seal all the way down. with that, with the subdivision to seal that whole area back up. And they should, part of that is crack sealing and that intermittent. They're supposed to be crack sealing their patches to keep the water out, so get that time different.
But would it be more advantageous to replace the whole road, I think is what he's saying, versus just have a patchwork of patches that...
Oh, sure, if that gets back into that, you can't
demand more than
make them pave that whole
So if
road.
we just had a study that would say that that would be better.
I was just gonna segue in that.
Who didn't screw that to me?
That wasn't me. I'm just. I need to clarify now, right off the bat. My pen and binder slipper here.
But yeah, absolutely right, it's always better, it would be much better if any time that you can. That gets
We
back
can't
into
force
that
them to do
action, but you can't just make fun.
It is a real pain when they cut
It's
into
just
the
gonna
road
be a
and they
big
make
mess,
it
I
bad.
think, there, and I think we need to at least look, I didn't understand what had to happen.
Don't
The
fingerprint.
maintenance part of that. There will be 3 trenches that are gonna be 3 foot wide all the way down, clear down.
Yeah,
You said city council did get
They're over
one.
that 2 foot between the different new trenches.
She's not been there.
Like that would be, but if they're within, once they put it all together, like me and Ben will go down and walk it, they'll have to square the whole area up. They're not allowed to do like individual little strips anymore, and they'll have to square up their entirety of the patch. I don't know what that'll look like.
It's kind of just a big 5-foot wide trench right down the middle of the road.
Well, they have more than one.
Yeah, there's a couple down.
They're divided, so.
So if they get into those minimums, what they'll do is go to the furthest one out, like halfway in the road, basically, and they'll have to square it up that way with everything inside of that new patch, so you have one large patch that is multiple.
I think issue, just keep your eyes on it.
Yeah, I think so, I mean, the contractors are not giving the residents there any confidence that, you know, it's like, hey, it's not my problem, kind of thing.
Okay.
So we just need to keep an eye on it, I think.
Nope, thanks for the heads up.
So, then.
I wouldn't take that back.
We're just continuing to move along, fiber committee meeting, lots of good things that are happening there. We need to get, more information to the council, and so we'll be working on that, next little bit to get, and then we'll be bringing in, hopefully, the council on
June 22nd,
June
yeah.
22nd. So we got a lot of work to do between now and then, but some good things are happening there. I think we need to get the council more aware of what we're doing, so.
That would be good.
I think that's about it. I did have a Skyline Drive discussion, but we had more stuff coming.
Right.
Sorry, we will get the update on that one.
Councilwoman Yuri.
Going along with what Steve said with Founder's Day, lots of little loose ends being tied up and getting ready for Founder's Day. And there is more to come on Skyline Drive fairly soon, and hopefully it will go the way that we're anticipating it.
More to come.
Yes, are you gonna talk about the fun thing on June 14th?
No, go ahead.
You're not going to?
I will, you don't, but if you don't.
You go ahead. You do it.
Your thing.
Councilwoman Arrington.
Nope, I think Dave has me covered for fiber. Just want to thank everyone in this room. I just really enjoy serving with all of you, and I even appreciate the diversity and the discussion, and I just really enjoy working with all y'all. So
Amen.
that's all I got.
Guys are awesome.
So, all y'all.
All y'all.
All y'all.
I think the feeling's very mutual amongst us. So, I only just have a teeny thing. We're gonna have a, open house kind of groundbreaking for the memorial, for the Veterans Monument on the 14th of June, which is
Mark it down, everybody's got to.
Flag Day. So,
At noon, and I can send you all invites tomorrow.
There's invites been made, and we're inviting like some big name people. Z104 is gonna be here. I know, that'll be an interesting combination with some politicians.
For real,
and
you got
Z104.
Z104 to come.
And the spikers are gonna be here.
Bikers will be here.
Utah congressional delegation, possibly.
So it's, I mean, we're trying to make it into a big deal, and we
Yes.
also come up with, maybe the most important thing is that we've come up with, what's the right word? Come up with a table of sponsorship.
Schedule,
Like,
yeah.
we're looking for a title sponsor, like put their name on the whole thing, and then we broke it down by bigger dollars so that everybody that we send out letters to has asked us, how much do you want? So like, we like, if I say $500, they give us $500.
We're gonna get a dollar value at that table.
I'll
Yeah,
send you all
set.
everything that our committee has put together, so we have the agenda for the event, and then the table for sponsorship, and then the invitation, so.
I can see we're gonna spray paint some shovels and put out tents.
Yeah, there'll be
And we expect you all to be there to help us dig. No.
those of us that can come, would love to have everyone there, so.
Staff, commission, council, everybody's invited.
And it will be at noon, so, and then we're looking at having some refreshments from Lost Texan.
Yep, I talked to his wife today, and they're happy to provide.
How are we coming on the, money? Are we close? Are we?
So we're tracking along. We still need, and part of it, it's hard because the project scope with the group there is kind of adjusting a little bit, and we're trying to figure out with concrete donations and all of that. So I think we're still needing probably 15,000 to 20,000, but we've gotten a lot of donations, and people are being incredibly generous. And to Kevin, or excuse me, to the mayor for this evening's point.
Kevin.
We have a lot of people asking kind of what to donate and how, and so that's kind of what we've put together with the schedule.
That's where this whole groundbreaking came to fruition with, I think this will give them some footing, some recognition, some, and I think that more donations will happen because of the event.
And one last thing, I just wanted to thank everyone that came to the open house down at Young Power Sports. That was pretty cool. And lots of people from the administration and the council came, and it was awesome. And I think more to come. I mean, they're pretty excited about their business, and so that's all I have, unless anybody's got anything else.
I did invite the governor to, our Founder's Day.
You did?
Awesome, thank you.
Like by letter, or did you see him?
My boy got Airman of the Year last Saturday. And
Right?
Oh, congratulations, that's awesome.
he was there, and I said, by the way, thanks for lifting the mask mandate, and come up and enjoy a celebration.
Good.
That'd be awesome. If he may come, you never know.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good opportunity.
We're gonna invite him to the groundbreaking too. Well,
And he reached out.
eventually it'll be a ribbon cutting, but right now it's a groundbreaking.
12 o'clock, everybody come.
Yeah, I'll get that
Anything
information.
else? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Arrington, second by Gibson. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
And a quick RDA.
we're gonna have a quick RDA meeting.
Sorry.
Don't get too excited to leave. We now call to order.
Now Anne's personally at me.
Pleasant View City Redevelopment Agency meeting, on May 25th, 2021.
Shoot, what if you need your security?
First item of business. Thanks, you guys.
Have a good night.
You've got the number now,
right? First item of business is the consent items, approving the minutes of May 11th, 2021.
So moved. Can I say so moved to that? You asked for the approval, so.
I didn't really ask for it, but okay.
Oh, sorry.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Yuri, second by Marriott. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, consent items are approved. First item of business is the tax increment financing payments, approvals to JD Machine and Western States Rebar Fabrication. Laura?
Yeah, these both are receiving that tax increment financing. The get my glasses. The Western State Rebar, they have an agreement with us that we are going to pay them up to $300,000 max, or until the end of the RDA. And so this year, going through the formulas, we're going to be paying them $20,311.59. And if you look on both of the little worksheets, you kind of see how much taxes they have paid throughout the year. So they paid like $29,000 taxes on that property out there. 10% of it's going to go to other taxing entities like mosquito abatement and Northview Fire. And then 20% of it we're keeping for housing only. And then when you get down to the bottom, we're going to give them $20,000 of it, of the $26,000 that we're keeping. And so we get about $6,000 from this, and the rest goes to them and the other entities. But that was the agreement.
Because we expanded that, or lengthened out that, the EVAs, is that
Yeah, they're,
deal going to go as well up to the $300,000?
that was the very first one that we did, and it was just a blanket, we're going to give you up to $300,000.
But is that, how far what did we get stretched so far? What did we get them so far?
They have,
232.
yeah, 232.
So that probably still won't make the.
They'll probably, we got 3 more years, so they'll hit. We'll get right to probably the 300,000, giving that to them before it expires.
Where does it say that max on these?
It's just in the letter on this one. So it's the third. So on the Western State, it's the third paragraph. It just says.
No more than a total of 300,000.
Okay.
Yeah. The other one for JD Machines, there was a tier. I don't think I put that in there for you.
It says 354.
Oh, the first letter.
So the one for JD Machine, they had a tier that they had to meet. So they had to have so many employees. They had to pay them at least 110% of the medium range of Weber County, and then they had to at least have, I think the tier they're in is like $5 million, and they had to keep that for so many years. And so once they hit those tiers, they get like 40% or 30% or 60% of that. So that's this little worksheet again. So if you see that they paid like $132,000 in taxes, 10% goes to other entities, so we're keeping $119,000, and of that, we're going to give them back $45,000 of that $91,000 of what they paid. And
how long does it keep going? Is there a maximum years?
this one's good. We've got 3 more years, and then the EDA's over. Yeah.
2024?
2023.
Oh, 2023.
So this is for the year 2020. So if you guys can just give the approval to pay those out to them, we'll send them out a check.
Do you need to, you do need to approve.
Yeah, then we can go pay them.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve the tax increment financing for JD Machinery and Western States Rebar Fabrication.
In the amounts of these letters that we've talked about.
In the amounts of?
So JD Machine's going to be, 63, and the other's $20,311.59.
Yeah, like that.
Just like that.
So moved.
There you go.
I'll second the motion. Just like that. Okay, motion by Eric, and second by Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Budget workshop.
Same thing, unless you have something to bring up, we'll bring it back on the public hearing on June 8th. So.
Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second the motion.
Motion by Gibson, second by Marriott. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Good job. Good job, Kevin. Good job, Kevin.
Hey,
You did a fine job.
You're the man.
Much easier to say.
Last time your very first time?
Forever.
Really?
Sorry, and I.
Forever. And
So Steve, my boss, texted me back and he said,
Bill.
tomorrow.
Let's put it at the top of the next agenda.
Yeah.
Possible.
You want to do it?